A day will come on that oil packet. Consumption of ghee and oil in copious quantities is injurious to your health. We saw visceral fat on a heart, and it's a very, very ugly looking thing. It is yellow like plaque on top of your heart. When you put a CGM device, a continuous glucose monitor on you, even if you're not diabetic, you get mind blown what food does to your sugar spike.
Mr. Ryan Fernando is India's leading sports and celebrity nutritionist and author of the best-selling book Wheatless, A Guide to a Gluten-free Diet. For 20 years, he has dedicated his life to understanding the science behind food.
The incidences of diabetes, hypertension, cancer are so high up there, we'll have the sickest, youngest population. Once a kid gets the nasha of a chips packet, which has been scientifically designed by food scientists to activate all the pleasure centers of the brain from your taste buds, why would a child say they don't want to eat it? If India wants to beat the temptation of junk food, all you have to do is...
Ryan has made it his mission to change the way you eat by educating and guiding you about healthier food practices and how you choose a tailored diet plan that heals your body with precise blood, genetic and microbiome testing.
Only athletes and celebrities have the discipline to change the way they eat. I did the genetic plan for Mr. Amir Khan. It was for the Dangal role. Amir would have done more than 25 kilometers of walking a day to burn off that fat. If you want to be healthier, you don't need Ryan Fernando. You first need to start by fix that, and 99% of the people will never have a nutritional craving.
Hi Ryan, I'm Saloni. Welcome to What the Health.
Thank you so much for having me.
So excited to have this chat. I think the worst advice that one can ever get is eat healthy. Because the meaning of healthy is different for different people. And to solve for this, we have you here today. Ryan, thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to discuss everything about food, diet and healthy eating with you.
It's always a great pleasure to talk about nutrition and eating healthier. And I know where you're coming from when you say that, health is different for different people. Saloni, it's very important that no one size fits all. We will have lean people on the planet. We will have muscular people on the planet. We'll have fat people on the planet. You'll have acne-prone skin on the planet. I think trying to conform to somebody's version of health, and I work with a lot of celebrities, and they're a wrong measure of what really health is. That is what I call as makeup. What you see is the cameras giving you a utopian view of what perfect health could be like. And if I actually went behind the scenes and discussed the real health of my celebrities, you'll be shocked to see that they are not healthy. So the context of health is very, very clear. Do you sleep well? Do you breathe well? Do you have any cravings or not? And are you able to eat to survive, not survive to eat? So these are small things that we'll discuss today in terms of how can we take a person's own health to the next level, but just small questions that you can ask yourself.
I think perfect start to this chat, defining what healthy means. But before we get into discussing all of this, Ryan, I really want to understand, how did you become the scientist of food? What's your story? And if you could share a little bit about what led you to be here.
So to be very, very honest, all of us when we were younger were like doctor or engineer. I come from that generation, Generation X. And, my parents wanted me to be a doctor or an engineer. There was no other option. To be honest with everyone out there, I was not smart enough to become a doctor, right? I didn't qualify in the merit list. So what do you do next? Okay, there's something called science out there. So you went and did BSc in science. But I did know at that time, and I was quite young, I had a neighbor who told me that the future will be genetics. I'm talking about 1992, 93.
Ryan, I have to say this. I looked at you, I met you, and I think I would guess your age to be like 35, max 40. And my team told me that you are 50. So I really want to then get into really also understanding what is the secret of Looking so young.
So the secret, if I rewind, was when I was younger and studying to biochemistry, microbiology, getting into food biotechnology. Obviously, I realized that I was born on the planet with a health marker, which was delicate darling genes. So my mummy daddy Jodi might not be the most impressive on the planet, even though theirs is a love marriage. So I've got a Tamilian background and a Goan background. So when these two sets of genes come together, well, you'd expect some genetic prowess to come out. I got a sensitive stomach to which any food that was given to me was sensitive. Now, on the other hand, I was also skinny because both my parents are actually very lean. And to give you some of the secrets, some of our genetic aging is also related to the mummy daddy Jodi that we come from. So I can't take complete credit, but because at a very young age, I began to self-diagnose what foods were thumbs up for me and what foods were okay, and what foods are thumbs down. And along the way, as you're a teenager and you become an adult and you go into your first job, you realize you get money to eat food, or you're working in a job 9 to 9 at night and then you just order crappy food. Maybe you don't have enough of salary, so you eat very cheap food. I've been through all of that. And over a period of time, I realized that fruits and vegetables, not something that is cooked and processed, was a safer bet and alternative for me. So years of eating little bit scientific, having a little bit of a background, and occupational hazard now that says that, hey, you know what, you're working with celebrities and you've got to motivate people. Izzat ka sawal, you can't be eating wrong, right? So to put all of that into a blender and say that, it's defined as, oh, I've got great genes, maybe not. I've got a great diet, yes. And over the years, when I worked with companies, so I went to Scotland and I did a food biotech. I'm the generation of Dolly the sheep. When genetic cloning started happening, the Human Genome Project, you read the entire genetic code. So basically from that, when you're doing biochemistry and you're doing genetics, you figure out there is a link between the two. And I'm talking about going to Scotland on a Commonwealth scholarship, and some of the world's best genetic professors were the guys who taught me. Some of the best food science and technology guys taught me. And they were years ahead. Like what we're talking about today, our clinic in Bangalore, we did genetic testing in 2009 when people had not even heard about this. I remember Ranbaxy Laboratories saying that, who's the doctor who asked for this? What was it? It was the ACTN gene, which is the sprint gene or the endurance gene. And I did it on a swimmer. And we had to send it to the US for the sample to come back. So when we started tinkering with this very, very long ago, there were my own scientific studies. Meaning, when you came to me for a nutrition plan, I was like, could you do a blood test? Could you do a genetic test? So the people that came to me, fortunately, were trying to win medals or were at a certain level of evolvement in their thought process. Not necessarily rich. See, people can be rich, but they still eat wrong. But people evolve. I evolved out of thappat, adult acne, irritable bowel syndrome. I would eat bread as a Goan and I would not feel good in my gut. I would feel bloated. I would get pimples. And then when I go to a certain location where bread was not available for 1 month on a camp, or went to Scotland to study and didn't eat that much of bread, my pimples disappeared. But I did not connect the dot as a food scientist. I think connecting the dots is what today's world is trying to do. See, if you go back before the advent of Google, computers, you relied on gurus to tell you, doctors to tell you, teachers to tell you what to do. Today, you can do a little bit of research on your own. You can watch a podcast like this and get some knowledge saying that, hey, you know what? Maybe I should stop eating that food for 20 days. Now, why 20 days? Because your gut lining takes 11 days to turn over. So if you have to heal your gut lining, that food cannot be going in and giving you a slap for 11 days. And then you wait another 11 days to see the second cycle. So these are small things that by wisdom, people can just start changing their health.
But I would want to double down on the bread story that you mentioned, right? I also got to know, I read your book, Wheatless, went through it. and very interesting read. I think India really needs this book because as Indians, and this is my sort of learning from my experiences of interacting with people, it's very difficult for people to be open to change, right? So if they have been eating chapati all their life, if somebody comes and says, "Ke aaj, you should leave gluten and stop your wheat chapati," they act like, "Oh, meri kidney mang rahe ho," right? I have myself not eaten a wheat chapati in my house. So I wouldn't say I'm 100% gluten free. I eat outside. But in my house, in the last 6-7 years, we've not made wheat chapatis. We've moved to non-gluten stuff. So I have personally seen the benefits of
Going gluten-free.
going gluten-free, and I'm a big promoter of that, but would love to hear from you because I also read that you're gluten intolerant. So how did you figure that out, and what happened when you...
Oh, it was a very interesting story. I had the knowledge in my head. I didn't have the psychological conviction or the cultural discipline to change my diet. And that's all of us in India.
Exactly.
What Dadima has told you to eat and what Mama has taught you how to appreciate, there's no way a nutritionist or a skincare brand or an Ayurvedic brand or even Sattvic diet or any diet that can change your cultural mindset. Which is why I tell people you need to eat scientific. Now, the story behind writing this book was, I met a guy on the flight and like this, we were sitting down and talking and I was like, he came to know that I was a nutritionist because, the drink came and I said, no, I'll just have water. And then I said, could you pass me that famous brand of drink that comes in a disposable packet and, it looks like a bottle. And I'm looking at it and it was, I think it was Aam Panna. And I just looked at it and I was just doing it for dramatic effect. Like, you want to poke somebody. And I was not doing it to belittle the person. I realized I'm put on the planet to change the way India eats. So I was like, sir, it's got like 3 teaspoons of sugar per 100 ml. So he was like, oh, if I go to my house, we'll not even use 1 teaspoon of sugar, right? Because I am on the heavier side. But here you have now tired in this flight. But hang on, you're not tired. You're just taken off from Bangalore. It's a 2-hour flight. You really don't need to eat. You had breakfast at home. Why are you touching this stuff? So when we went back and forth, we discussed his bowel movement and then people around joined in the conversation. Because nutrition is so personal to everybody. I mean, there has not been... Even the housekeeping staff at the Leela Hotel has asked me, sir, mere liye diet bolo. Your camera crew is going to come to me tomorrow and say, sir, what should I eat? So it's very personal. Now the problem is when you're a celebrity nutritionist, there are only that many people that can afford your services, right? And there's only that much amount of time that people have to come meet you or listen to you. And then you do need repeated exposures with a teacher, with a coach, right? I mean, if that was not the case, then you and I would have gone to 10 standard, directly got the 10 standard marks, gone to 12 standard, or not had to go through the grades. I believe food is the same thing. People believe that they can meet Ryan Fernando or any one of my dietitians and in one shot, their problem is solved. But food is so personal, so it's very difficult to convince people. Now, the cost factor and everybody's interest in changing the way they eat, this gentleman said, you know what, you should write a book. And I looked at him and I said, why should I write a book? He says, well, it could be your way of making your knowledge available to the world. And I said, no, but I've got videos. He says, but not everyone wants to watch a video or not everyone wants to watch a podcast. And during the pandemic, my publishers reached out to me. So I was a little bit egocentric at that time. I was like, I don't want to write a book. Like, you're not going to pay me much money. Like 19 rupees or 20 rupees royalties, like per book is not worth my time. So I'm being very high-handed over here, right? And then suddenly it came back that one day when we were having a call with Yamini, who's one of the publishers, Yamini said, Ryan, what if somebody picks up a book and has a problem and reads your book and you solve them problem and you're not even in the room? That hit hard, really hard. It was like, you know what? I'm just going to write this. So I spent the next 6 months putting down my thoughts. I had a person help me out every day, interviews, so literally questions would be thrown at me. How would we write it? What does a person ask? What's my story? How did it happen? And also, and I decided to document my experience because I went through acne till the age of 36. And having a skin problem or a hair problem or a gut problem or any problem, and medicine not being able to solve it, doctors not able to find the root cause in it, I realized when I started genetic testing at our core nutrition clinics, the guy said to me in Hindi, "Sir," and this was an Indian entrepreneur in the US, shipping samples from India to the US. So he got in touch with me. It's like, "Sir, we'll do genetic testing and all." And I still remember, it's about 2012. And so that guy told me कि साहब आप इतना लोग का genetic test कर रहे ना, आपका sample भी दे दो. It was quite expensive. फिकर नहीं, आप मुफ्त में करेगा. हमने करे यार, like every Indian, I was like opportunistic. I was like, yes, let's do my genetic test. It went to America, came back, lactose intolerant and gluten intolerant. Oh, I have to avoid bread now because I know gluten, I knew the science and everything. So it's about 2013. So I was like, I need to also practice what I preach. Because I'm telling Saloni, she's got gluten sensitive, give up gluten, eat jowar, eat bajra, eat amaranth, don't eat wheat, don't eat barley, don't eat rye. Baki ka, you can eat everything. So I was like, boss, you're telling people, why don't you try? So I tried for about 4 weeks. I took a determination, put a diet plan together for myself. I stopped. And we Goans are pawalas. I'm a Goan.
Poi.
50, yeah, poi. You've heard the poi, right? And every time I hear those horns in Bombay, pa, 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 pa. In Goa, bakers come with the horn like that. And every Goan watching this will start smiling now because they know exactly what I mean. We get fresh bread early morning. The baker delivers it to your house like the milk being delivered to your house. So I stopped. 4 weeks later, pimples started drying up. And then I started noticing that no new zit is coming out. It did not strike me till I did my genetic test, till I did a diet plan for 4 weeks that, dude, there's no pimple coming. And everything else started drying up. And then 6 weeks went by and my wife comments, your face is cleared up. So this is like the first time in our marriage, and I was already married about 4 years and she married me with my pimples and everything and all. So I was like, okay, there's something over here. Ye genetic plan to kaam kar rahe. Now I went through about 3 months of this, I think. I don't remember exactly, but then I decided to eat one day. And the day I ate, I got loose motions that day. Next day, I said, loose motion must be something in food poisoning. Next day, I ate again a bread. One zit popped up. When you're an expert in pimples, one new pimple coming up, you know when it's coming. Like I was the bacha of pimple technology. I could design when a pimple had to come. So when I began to slowly look at this, at that same time, Djokovic in 2012 or 11 wrote a book called Serve to Win. And he described how a doctor discovered his gluten sensitivity. And he discovered that his gluten sensitivity was affecting his endurance in the game. Today, Djokovic is the GOAT, the greatest of all time, with the highest number of Grand Slams. His family owned a pizza chain. And he gave up gluten because the doctor asked him to give it up. At that same time, his book came out, and I had just won the silver medal, Olympic medal with Sushil Kumar. Right? So for me, I was like full on in my coordination clinics. How can we make India win more Olympic medals? So the lifestyle part of my life, Amir Khan had not yet turned up. All the film stars had not yet turned up. This was only Sushil Kumar. So I was like, sports, yeah, we got to make people win medal. And if Djokovic has given up gluten, and I know the gluten stopped my pimples, imagine what it's doing to the fatigue in an athlete. And so I began to collate the testing more aggressively for sports players. And one by one, we started seeing improvements. And how I convinced a player, very simple. Okay, you're eating your normal diet. Give me your heart rate measurement every morning for the next 1 month. You eat what you want. Then they come back next month, you're on my diet plan. You're on my nutrition plan. You're on my genetic plan. You follow it 100%. And so we saw athletes having 63, 65, 68 resting heart rate for a full month drop by 10 points.
Wow.
58, 54, 55. Now, what happens when your resting heart rate is lower? It means your recovery is better. Your heart doesn't have to beat more aggressively because jagada is happening in your bloodstream. Jagada is happening such that pimples have to pop out of you. Jagada is happening such that you get irritable bowel syndrome. So all of this began to be a collective decade of experience of one-on-one. So I get trolled a lot on the internet, say, where's the scientific study? Dude, the scientific study is the one-on-one. Because the scientific study is a segment of a population. You ask for double-blind, peer-reviewed, blah, 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 meta-analysis. I take Saloni. I go completely through and through on the biochemistry, genetic testing, and now the microbiome. The bio-individuality of a client and then bio-individualizing your food choices, your behavioral mechanisms to that blueprint is actually the perfect scientific study for you. But because most humans are not willing to invest in the money, time, or effort.
That's the toughest.
Time and money, in my opinion, is the easier part. The effort, the psychological effort to bring about a physiological change from a cultural chapa that you have already received. It's literally like telling a person who's born in Mumbai, hey, bhai, tum Mumbai ka rahe na, abhi Bangalore aaja aur you become a Bangalorean. It's just too difficult. Your character remains with you. So imagine what food is imprinted to you from a very young age. And you go and tell a Haryani lady who owns bigas and bigas of land of wheat. Her son was one of the fastest breaststrokers in the country. Fastest. And I told him, you're gluten sensitive. Arey yaar, ye doctor sahab to pagal hai. Humko bolta hai ki gehu chodne ka hai.
Pura life gehu khaya hai. And same with the milk. I find it so difficult to convince people that you need to leave dairy.
So it's this battle that you have, right, to convince. How do you convince people? I don't spend time convincing people. People have views. What you have to do is show them that the view that they have, I'm putting some doubt. Okay, you think milk is healthy? You think roti is healthy? It is. I only say that I'm a judge. Okay? So if I'm a judge, gluten walks into the room. Saab, I am gluten from wheat. I am the best for the Indian population. Right? And so gluten is making a case to me. I'm the judge. Now there are two people sitting over here. Let's say, Saloni, you're not gluten sensitive. I'm gluten sensitive. Gluten comes and there's a person over here who's the nutritionist, does the testing and now says, gluten is not the culprit. It is finding out your nutritional architecture कि वो मंजूर है, मंजूर है. Literally, you get married to your food. You marry the wrong person, your life is miserable. You marry the right person, your life is amazing. Right? Many of us don't have the choice to marry foods into our life. It is subjugated upon us. So I tell the younger generation, you may be born in a khandan where there are 4 cows in the backyard. But you may have the gene. So they're like, but how did my ancestors have milk? With the current technology and the current discussion, the current explorations of people's experiences, we are beginning to find out that people do not suffer in silence. So for example, if you have rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune disorder, genetic body, alopecia areata, you have irritable bowel syndrome, HLA-B27 gene, alkalining spondylosis, you somehow realize that if these genes or genetics need to operate at a better level, you do not want your immunity system to be slapped into red alert. And who's slapping it? Either the genes or the environment. What is environment? Air, water, food. So I decided to put my thousands of experiences of people walking into a clinic, and people keep asking, what's the proof? When somebody asks me what's the proof, I'm like, please come and just do your testing. Now, what if somebody doesn't have any problem? Why should they test? They shouldn't test. Enjoy life. Wait till something happens and then you figure out that ask yourself, could this be in the food?
But Ryan, I left gluten not because of me, because of my husband. He had a problem. And I thought, okay, now this is too difficult to cook two different meals. So let me also sort of do this. For me, I think the easiest thing was that do it for a short while. Just in 15-20 days, I could feel the difference. I had no problems, but I was feeling more energetic, lighter. My gut was better than before. And if you would have asked me a month ago that, do you have a gut problem? Are you feeling fatigued? I would have said, no, I'm fine. But it's when you feel better, you realize that, oh my God, I can actually feel more energetic in life.
There's another level.
Exactly.
Saloni, we discover this in athletes. And so I studied at Goa Medical College clinical biochemistry. And my life, had I not decided to get into the food or nutrition space, would be in a lab. I mean, it was a beautiful course, amazing teachers, Goa Medical College teachers. Hi, how are you doing? I don't hate biochemistry at all. I love it. But I couldn't stand being in a lab for the rest of my life. I just couldn't do it. So I needed to get out. How to get out? Oh, there was a football field across. What if I could be down there? And that's when I began to experiment with sports nutrition. How could I make a better solution for people? How could I make athletes go longer? And that started my own personal tryst in changing the way people would approach nutrition, how it would affect the body. So you have to figure out that sports, athletes need to perform at the next level. Race cars have ABS system in it, automatic braking system. Race cars were the first ones to be put with seat belts. Race cars were the first one to have anti-skid tires, anti-puncture tires. All of these things were there. Today, your car and my car has these features. Sports pushes any science to the ultimate level. So when we work with the athletes, we take medical technology and push it to the next level. So I need an athlete to feel better at the next level. So Saloni, if you had come to my nutrition clinic and you didn't have a problem, I'd just not say anything. But if you were an athlete, you got to do this. Because I need you to get to the next level, because I know that the next level of feeling good lowers your heart rate, lowers inflammation, improves your digestion. Do you know even the microvilli get assassinated by gluten? So it's like this beautiful carpet in this room. If everyone walks only on one part of it, it'll get worn out. What gluten goes is, so gluten is like this dada. Goes into your stomach, hey bhai, I am a big molecule. I am a protein. I am not going to break down. Calls up his friend zonulin. Now where is zonulin? In the intestine, it's inside the blood. Hey bhai, zonulin, bahar aa jao, mere ko andar le lo. So zonulin is this adapted molecule in the body which goes in and starts opening up your gut lining. So gluten, this hefty VIP molecule, dada molecule, starts walking in, opening up on all the aam aadmi particles, protein, amino acids, carbohydrates, glucose, vitamins, minerals, all choto molecules. They have to all stand in line. But gluten is one dada, getting VIP treatment. So over years of slapping your intestines, you begin to open up these gaps, which allows other food molecules, bhai, gluten to aisa kar rahe, hum bhi aisa karega. So now you have foods entering into your bloodstream without getting fully digested, because all of these gates are open. Because after some time, zonal is like, bhai, band nahi karne ka na, kholo rakho. So raat mein, some guys go in. Now, there is another security system inside your blood. Your immune system. Immune says, bhai, tum kahan se gaya? Oh, aap doodh se aa gaya. The jagda starts coming. Nahi, bhai, zonal mere ko gate pass diya. Nahi. आप तो यहाँ नहीं होना चाहिए. You have to be digested, you have to be broken down, you have to be correct amino. But now the full molecule is coming in. So thappad. So jagda, ding, 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 ding. So after some time, zonulin leaves the gate open. It's like you're living in your society. The gurkha is sleeping there at night. Anyone can walk in, right? So after some time, everyone walks in. Half of the road people are now camping inside your colony because there's no security guard. Then the neighbors start fighting with all of these outside campers. Jagda ho raha hai. After some time, jagda becomes, red alert becomes a norm of the body. That is called autoimmune. And so when doctors start saying, We don't know the condition. It is an autoimmune disorder. I'm sitting there and watching that podcast saying, "Arey bhai, doctor साहब, ये तो खाने की चीज के अंदर है. पहला खाने का चीज सही कर दो." Saloni, for the last 5 years, doctors in Instagram have started talking about nutrition in US. We were doing genetic testing 15 years ago at Qua Nutrition clinics. We were telling people, we were telling athletes to win Olympic medals by just changing the way they eat. The problem is, only athletes and celebrities have the discipline to change the way they eat based on science, not on culture, because the end goal is signing a movie, getting so many crores, or the end goal is winning a medal. Aam aadmi, food is the trophy. I worked really hard today. Therefore, I am entitled to reward myself.
मिठाई तो खिलाओ.
Mithai to khila do. For example, I am guilty as charged. Yesterday, the Leela, I worked really hard and I came back and I said, I want a pizza. It was Sunday. It was my reward meal. But guess what? I got an amazing chef. He made me a gluten-free, dairy-free pizza. No corn and no green peas because I'm allergic to those two.
Wow.
So, maybe I don't need to be an actor or a celebrity. Maybe I don't need to be a Virat Kohli. But everybody can begin to change the way they order their food, the choices they make. And that's where I wrote the book because, at the end of the day, someone can just pick it up and like, am I gluten intolerant? So with the stories, you kind of join the dots. Say this one kid who lost his eyelashes, alopecia areata. So your hair starts falling off. And the moment we cleaned up his diet, his eyebrows grew back. Right? So sometimes people are like, and specifically I want doctors to hear this. It is in your food. Ayurveda has always said it is in your food.
Absolutely.
But unless we convince people that in addition to medication, if you don't change the diet, like my dad said to me recently, my sugar is under control. I was like, Dad, it's not under control. Who told you it's under control? Dad, if you're listening into this, you still take medications. The medicine is controlling the diabetes. You are not controlling the diabetes because you ate those chaklis. I put 3 chaklis in your plate the other day and you ate all 3. You're supposed to eat only 1. So, got you. So, at the end of the day, we're not able to control. And then we use medicine to control it. So, if you layer your behavior in life and the thought process to everybody listening in, your body is the most expensive real estate you will ever own. This is my tagline. Now, how do I treat it? Right? So, when I go to my mechanic, it's my doctor. Right? So, my doctor's like, why are you here? I'm like, dude, my dad has cholesterol problem. I checked his genetic test. We've got 3 heart markers. He's like, yeah, but I just did your scan. I said, what's your problem in life? I want to do the scan again. Is there an anomaly because I'm so stressed out doing so many podcasts and so many diet counseling that stress, the epigenetics, the environment on my heart is giving me thappad. Diet, you don't worry. I'm taking care of diet. So I think people should understand that a diet plan is a very negative term. Assassinating gluten or dairy is for you to take a judgment only after you have said ki bhai, manzoor hai, manzoor nahi hai. So people, I think, once they get to the first step, am I expensive? And Saloni, the clincher for anybody listening into our podcast, do you live in your body as a landlord or do you live in your body as a tenant? 99.99% of the world's population lives in their body as a tenant. They'll buy these amazing branded bags, shoes, phones, laptops, gadis, houses. But when you're living in your body, you're behaving like a tenant.
Yeah, no, I absolutely loved it. And I think we really need this. Another interesting piece about the book. I mean, I can see it on the title of the book, the wordplay with eat less. Right? And I would want to sort of also deep dive into portion control as a subject.
Where do I start? First of all, the human race, Saloni, is eating too much. Industrial revolution has taken us to a level where either you have enough of money to eat or you don't have money to eat. The consumption survey of India in 1991 showed that India was spending, I think, about 56 or 58 rupees towards food out of 100 rupees. In 2022, it dropped down to 40 rupees on food. Meaning what? We've got our disposable income has grown larger. So earlier, a huge chunk was towards food. So if we go back 2, 3, 4 decades, parents, grandparents decades, there was the entire budget focused only to making roti being met. So those who got affluent, those who had little bit of disposable income, we realized from maybe 500 to 1000 years of paucity, whatever the reasons, whether the British rulers, invaders, crops could not grow, failing famines, blah, 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 all of the stuff. Food was not like how it is today at a push of a button, right? So we ate lesser in the past centuries, which held us healthier. We died because of communicable diseases. Today we are dying because of lifestyle diseases, of which food is the true villain. Now, why are we eating more? We're eating more because culturally in India, wealth now in the last 200 years was being measured either in the Raja form or the rest of us. The Raja showed the Daulat. The rest of us showed it in the form of food. So how do you display your wealth, your love, your gratitude? Somebody came to your house, you fed them. It shows your prosperity. It shows your wealth. This has been ingrained in generations of Indians. कि भाई खा ले और एक ले लो. और अगर ना बोलेगा मतलब you're insulting me. If you leave food on the plate, there's an insult there because people did not get food. And that's technically correct. So what people didn't realize is somebody else was serving you. So they did not understand your capacity to eat. So this whole journey with understanding how India has eaten over the years is food is the god. Food is the Maharani. And you invited her into your house. And you never told Maharani when she entered into your house, ki bhai, come karo. It's a slap. So once you started getting into this behavior and mothers propound this behavior, aapko double खाने का है. Why? Because if you look at child mortality rates in before the birthing process, that is during pregnancy and at childbirth, was very high in India. You know the story, right? Winston Churchill diverted grain to another part so millions of Bengalis could starve. And so people were dying because they didn't have food. Mothers were, I wouldn't say killing their children, but there was no opportunity. So if you could then tell your prospective daughter or daughter-in-law carrying a child, ki, eat for double, you're hoping that when you're saying double, she'd eat a little bit more. Because she as a woman now is becoming a mother and she needs to see the health of her family. So agar main double khayega, to family ka kya ho jayega? So the mothers who were already the grandmothers use the thing, aapko double khane ka, aapko double khane ka. This is my analysis of the whole thing. This is not in any book or anything.
No, I think it makes complete sense. I mean, you go and ask a grandfather, आप कितनी बार बाहर खाते थे होटल में, या फिर आप बिस्किट्स खाते थे क्या, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, राइट?
अरे बिस्किट उस जमाने में इट वाज अ डिजर्ट.
एग्जैक्टली. एंड नाउ यू हैव लाइक दिस 5 rupee पैकेट बिस्किट दैट एवरीबडी इज eating, right?
So I'll share an interesting statistic. I told you about the consumption survey. So in 2022, we were spending 40 rupees out of 100 rupees on food. We are now spending in that 40 rupees, 10 rupees 80 paisa on processed foods and beverages, which include all the junk food, and only 3 rupees 80 paisa on fruit and 3 rupees 80 paisa on vegetable, and cereals expenditure, pulses, dals or legumes between 1991 or 1991 I think it was, and now has dropped by 5 to 6%. So India is eating more, but the wrong food, which is the junk food, and the nutritious food is actually going down. So your analysis is very astute. In fact, I actually made a video one day to the finance minister saying that please allow 25,000 rupees tax deductible expenditure on any health foods or services of the dietitian, services of a trainer, or services of a physiotherapist. Because more and more people, if they go to the physio, they go to the trainer, they go to dietitian, you will stand on that weighing scale. They will give you the knowledge कि भाई आप सही नहीं खा रहे, आपका वजन ज़्यादा है, आपका मोटापा ज़्यादा है. So until you get that thuppered from a medical professional, you're like, boss, I am okay, I am healthy, ये तो मेरा prosperity है, right? So I think if India's to wake up, and people like you and me are doing things like a podcast, who's listening in? Rich India, middle class India. But the poor are like, bhai, mere ko dal chawal roti matlab, I need packet of biscuits, I need all of this thing. The problem in this is the incidences of diabetes, hypertension, cancer, these three are so high up there that it will affect the GDP of the country. So the future governments will have the youngest population, but the number of lifestyle diseases will be the highest in the world. Therefore, we'll have the sickest, youngest population who now needs to change the way they eat, but they haven't realized it. So medicine and hospital care is going to be the highest, dragging down the economy of the country.
Oh my God, I just so sad to hear the way you defined it.
And so mothers need to do their bit. Double नहीं खाने का है, 400 calories खाने का है. और जब बच्चा पैदा हो गया, it is the God-given right of the mother to become the nutritionist and know the portion control. कि हम बच्चों को हर बार 5 मिनट खिलाते हैं. A child will know when to eat and how much to eat.
Help us understand what is a good portion.
So let me take it from this, okay? You have the genders, the male and the female gender. And from a biological perspective, the muscle mass ratio in each of these are different. So like men will have lesser fat percentage and women will have more fat percentage. So when we construct a diet as a nutritionist or a dietitian, we look at the energy expenditure and the BMR of a person. So in simple English for everyone, समझ लीजिए आपके पास एक बुलेट है और आपके पास एक स्कूटी है. तो Saloni, which one requires more petrol?
Bullet.
Why does a bullet require more petrol?
More power.
More power, bigger engine. So you are coming up to me, कितना पेट्रोल चाहिए? मैं बोल रहा हूँ मैडम कौन सा गाड़ी है?
BMI.
So the BMI, the body mass index, the basal metabolic rate. So when India begins to buy weighing scale, or doctors begin to keep weighing scales in their clinic, which give the body fat percentage and the muscle percentage, the weighing scale will give you the BMR, basal metabolic rate, engine idling speed. So imagine the bullet going to the signal. So the bullet is there. Da 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 da. Scooty come. Trrr. Is Scooty still in production? No, I don't think so. No, it's out of production. So. But let's look at one smaller vehicle, right? So when that's standing at the signal, you're not going anywhere. It's still consuming fuel. That's called engine idling speed. Human body ke andar BMR is our engine idling speed. So now once, let's say you have 1300 engine idling speed minus 1800. तो ना अभी मैं बोलेगा कि आपको एक कटोरी राइस खाने का है, सलोनी को एक कटोरी राइस खाने का है. रॉन्ग, गलत. आई हैव टू मेजर कि भाई BMR के अंदर 1300 कैलोरी सलोनी के लिए कितना प्रोटीन चाहिए, कितना कार्बोहाइड्रेट चाहिए, कितना फैट चाहिए. यू आर आस्किंग अ फूड साइंटिस्ट टू गिव यू अ पोर्शन सर्विंग, बट इट्स लाइक टेलिंग धोनी कि भाई मैच जीतने का है, अच्छा क्रिकेटर कैसा बनते हैं. धोनी विल से कहाँ खेल रहा है, पिच कैसा है, मेरा टीम कौन है,
Makes sense.
दूसरा टीम ने कितना स्कोर किया. So accordingly I plan my strategy. So to give a person immediate portion serving is very difficult. But I always tell people, dil se kha le beta. Eat to your heart's content. Saloni, do you know what's the size of your heart? You must have been taught in school, right? Close your fist.
Yeah.
Close your fist. Eat to your heart's content. Now, that is the amount you need to put on your plate 3 times a day. लेकिन हम एक दिल से नहीं खाते, 3-4 दिल से खाते, right? And sometimes that portion is also calorie dense. इसका मतलब क्या होता है? आपको धारवाड़ का पेड़ा देगा, कैलोरी डेंस, फुल कैलोरीज,
Zero nutrition.
मे बी द पेड़ा guy will say, अरे यार कोई तो प्रोटीन कुछ है, फैट है, but we'll come to that. On the other side, I give you 50 grams of Dharwad peda, 50 grams of cucumber. Cucumber is not calorie dense. लेकिन cucumber पेट के अंदर जाएगा, बोलेगा भाई मैं पहुंच गया, मैं cucumber हूँ, चलो ठीक है, पानी है मेरे अंदर 96% पानी. धारवाड़ पेड़ा आ गया, ए भाई I am 80-90 calories. Cucumber तो 20 calories. But see that you have eaten both at 50 grams. So people need to understand जो मैं क्या खा रहा हूँ, किस टाइम पर खा रहा हूँ और कितना खा रहा हूँ. ऐसा नहीं होता कि 3 kg का cucumber खाएगा और एक धारवाड़ पेड़ा. 3 kg of cucumber can also affect your gut. No, it's healthy. And eating just one small tiny piece of peda is not going to harm your body. Problem क्या होता है ना, box होता है, button होता है. You see today when you order, what is the biggest problem? I had a biryani yesterday, low oil biryani, dairy free biryani yesterday. I told the chef I need to eat 140 grams of biryani. वो मेरा पोर्शन का सर्विंग पेट्रोल टैंक भरने का है. शेफ ने क्या दिया, वो हंडी जो होता है ना पूरा दे दिया. शेफ को बोला बेइंग स्केल लेके आ जाओ, कितना है, 600 ग्राम्स. ना मम्मी का आवाज आ गया, रायन डोंट लीव एनी फूड, so many people go to bed without eating food. तो 140 से 400 ग्राम्स बन गया, 3 गुना ज्यादा. सो रेस्टोरेंट्स जब आप ऑर्डर करता है, बाहर जाएगा, अगर वो छोटा सर्विंग करेगा, वो बोलेगा ए भाई ये कौन सा सर्विंग है, इतना पैसा दे रहा है, इतना कम दे रहा है. सो रेस्टोरेंट ऑल्सो हैज टू बी प्रॉफिटेबल, सब लोग आने का है. ओनर बोलेगा भाई डबल पोर्शन दे दो, खुश हो जाएगा, वापस आ जाएगा.
I think we shouldn't blame the restaurants. Right at our homes, a lot of us have food right there, and we keep taking a second serving and a third serving without being very conscious about the food. The portion is done and we are done and we should get up.
Many years ago, food used to be served at our table before I started my nutrition clinic. So the housekeeping lady would bring it and keep it on the table. I come from a simple middle class family, but that's how we ate in Goa, with cutlery, fork, spoon and everything. So food was brought to the table and my mom would do this and all. So we continued the tradition, and every Indian household who can do it does it. There's a problem in that.
Exactly.
You could take the next serving. मम्मी का प्यार है बेटा, और एक स्पून ले लो ना, और एक स्पून ले लो ना. तो बहुत आज बहुत काम किया ना, एसी के अंदर काम किया, बैठ रहा है, कुछ बहुत काम किया, नो एनर्जी एक्सपेंडिचर. बट मम्मी क्या ना रही यार, 10 घंटा काम किया. हम सब लोग डीजे है भाई. डीजे का मतलब डेस्क जॉकी, डेस्क के अंदर बैठ रहे. सो वी गॉट टू फिगर दिस आउट दैट if you want to be healthier, you don't need Ryan Fernando. You don't need gluten avoidance. You first need to start कि भाई मेरा BMR क्या है, मैं बुलेट हूँ, स्कूटी हूँ या बोइंग जंबो जेट है. You figure it out what you are. I think if India begins to figure out that part, the next step will be, I now know how much to eat. Then the next step is
what to eat.
What to eat. That is where Ryan Fernando comes in. अरे धारवाड़ पेड़ा versus cucumber. Right? नहीं सर मेरे को धारवाड़ पेड़ा, हाँ धारवाड़ पेड़ा खा सकते हैं, लेकिन आप मतलब एक आधा का क्रेडिट कार्ड साइज का पीस देखने का है. नहीं सर, इसमें लिखा 100 grams is 380 calories, मेरे को 10 कैलोरी खाने का है. अच्छा बेटा. I want people to realize that people are not reading nutritional labels. When do we look at nutritional labels? We look at nutritional labels when you're getting a slap or you're educated. Your body is the most expensive real estate. You should say, boss, are you worthy to come into my body? आपको ये पूछने का है कि भाई ये जो डिश जो बनाया है, is it worthy to come into the body?
Rather than tasty enough to eat.
Yes, exactly.
I have few questions on the gluten piece, right? Would want to go back to that. There's gluten intolerance and there's gluten insensitivity or gluten sensitivity. What is the difference between the two?
See, basically, gluten intolerance would be something like you cannot put a piece of gluten into you. You will get one solid thappad. Like I have gluten intolerance. I will have loose motions. I will have headache. I will have a bleeding nose after 3 days. Body doesn't agree with it. It's massive. It's painful. Gluten sensitive is very simple. Thappad mil raha hai,
पर चल सकता है
चल
काम.
सकता है ना. Like you said, no, I stopped gluten and suddenly there's one something I felt good and all that stuff. That's a sensitivity.
Got it.
And then you have celiac disease, which is a very severe form of gluten allergy, wherein if you eat gluten, you could be hospitalized, and worse still, you could die by what is known as a shock, anaphylactic shock. So, fortunately, India doesn't have a very massive population of celiac disease. But the reason I wanted to make gluten as a story and more sensitive, it was my personal journey. Because I don't want a teenager to have bad skin. You know, you're 13, 14 years of age and you're getting pimples. Your mom and dad should get it. I think it's in the milk. I think it's in the
That's the conversation that should
in the
happen.
wheat. That's a conversation. And once that conversation happens, the next stage is, can I avoid it for 3 months and see if your skin clears up? I had thousands of teenagers write in saying कि मम्मी मेरे को मना किया कि मेरे को दूध पीने का है, मेरे को रोटी खाने का है, आप प्लीज इससे बात कीजिए. So I'm like, hi, I'll get that and I'll send it on Instagram. Hey, this is Ryan Fernando. And then I'll get some trolling and jump out. How can you say that we have eaten roti for so many centuries and all of that stuff? I'm not being paid by the wheat lobby or the milk lobby or some other lobby to promote my hatred of it. All I'm saying is, as a nutritionist, I am a judge of every food. Some of the gundagiri that happens a lot with people is dairy and wheat. So all I tell people is, if your teenager is suffering, just allow them that period of time to do what we call as a food diary, noting down, and elimination diary. Elimination is don't eat it for 90 days.
Yeah, and I think the easiest is to eliminate and observe. Right? If you see that change, see that difference, and
सब लोग distracted है आज, time नहीं मिल रहा है. But when the thappad comes really badly, so what I'm saying to you is that pimples are considered natural, hair loss is considered natural, motapa is considered natural. It's not life-threatening, and that's why people take it literally with a pinch of salt. So we want to educate people that okay, fine, ठीक है, आप मंजूर नहीं है तो testing कर दो. Now somebody will ask me, why should I test? Why should I spend 10,000 rupees to test? Arey bhai, your mobile phone is so expensive. Why are you buying a mobile phone that has features which can build a spaceship? We're just doing a podcast, no? Why do we need a camera? Why do we need a camera which is SLR status? Which wildlife are you going to shoot it? So my thought process is, humans want the best of the best. So when it comes to nutrition, why not figure out the best of the best for your body by doing the necessary analysis or testing?
Ryan, what are your personal ways of controlling food quality, right? Because sometimes I'm eating fruits and vegetables, and I understand eating raw fruits and vegetables is good, but then one sort of tends to think how much of this is harmful versus good versus you don't know what, like you said, even with the organic tag, I really don't know. I have my own doubts on the organic practices in this country. Right? So are there any small tips, tricks that we can pass on to people to ensure better quality of food?
So the first things first is that your staples, your grains, legumes, pulses, try and buy organic. Now, I know you will question that it is susceptible, but there are big brands out there, and these are big multinationals to our Indian good quality brands who are now investing. Recently, I saw having organic atta. I saw bringing in something, 24 mantra. I have no affiliation with any of these brands, but I'm watching their good practices, number one. Number two is, in the ignorance of saying that I do not know that they are organic, I choose to buy the one with chemical, that 1 and 0 is a no-brainer. My choice will be going towards organic but suspect, right? And then I figure out my treatment of that food in terms of washing it, cooking it, and how frequently do I take that. So there's this beautiful app down south called Farmizan that brought together all organic farmers, and they produce organic vegetables and fruits. Never met any of those farmers. The app, the story is brilliant. The vegetables and fruits come on time. But there was one thing I realized. My housekeeping one day came to me and said, "Saab, जो pomegranate आप लेके आते हैं ना, वो सुंदर नहीं है. ऐश्वर्या राय सुंदर नहीं है. जो मार्केट में मिलता है ना, वो सुष्मिता सेन ऐश्वर्या राय जैसा दिखता है. और ये जो आप जो लेके आते हैं, वो नकली है. But I'm buying organic. It's not beautiful. It's wrinkly. It's crumpled. Sir, इसमें कीड़ा आता है जल्दी. वो मार्केट वाला कीड़ा आता नहीं.
I've heard the same thing in my house, by the way.
And Saloni, if you remember one thing, when we went to our Dadima's house, can you go back to that memory? There used to be one plastic jali mesh on top of all the fruits on the dining table, and we used to get those fruit flies. So Dadima would have that jali to put on top of foods because fruit flies came. Why did fruit flies came? In the last 20, 30 years ago, they were using lesser pesticides and insecticides. And now every one of our fruits and vegetables are aggressively sprayed because they're being grown at another location and they have to survive in a city for 5 to 10 days. So from that perspective, I've seen the food that I buy organically spoils faster. It may not be the best and purest organic, but I'm hoping that entrepreneurs like you and me who are intellectual and have certain levels of ethical practice where we can drive the businesses to educate India. And India is also saying, you know what, I'm not going to spend 50,000 rupees on alcohol this year. I'm going to divert that to buying more organic. So this is the basic hack for everybody. And how would you come to know? Just do your C-reactive protein and ESR levels blood test. Do it at the beginning of the year, 6 months and 1 year later, and just check your food. Don't look at quantity. Don't look at timing. Don't look at what you're eating. Just go organic. You will see a drop in your inflammatory markers. Unless you're getting cheated by that brand. Now that's something I think our government and our policy makers have to bring in, that the farmer needs to also begin to grow more nutritious food, less chemical overload on them.
Doctor, and we understood about being gluten-free, we understood about eating less. But let's say in a plate, right, where, let's say in an Indian plate where there's roti, sabzi, dal, all of it. I really want to understand two things. One, what is healthy and what is not. What to eat more and what to eat less. So to really understand this, we have a thali here. Can we have the Indian thali here?
I thought I could smell food.
So we have a typical Indian thali here. This is rice, roti, some sabzi, paneer, a mixed veg, dal, some fried batata vada, gulab jamun, onion, 2 cups of rice and 2 parathas and a glass of chas. Now I need you to sort of remove things from here.
Okay. So the first perspective, anyone looking at a thali, designing their own thali or ordering a thali is this. Who am I? Am I a laborer? Am I a delivery boy? Am I working in the hot sun? Am I climbing 20 flights of stairs in the whole day? Or am I sitting here as a desk jockey?
Desk jockey,
right?
all of us.
So most of us in India who are watching this podcast are desk jockeys. If you're into manual labor, first of all, this thali will be correct if you're into manual labor. Now, let's understand why people who are desk jockeys, what could be wrong in this. The first thing is, when you are a desk jockey, what are you using? Your brain, and you're using your fingers. Not much movement. So, basically, you need your brain to function with carbohydrate, chiefly glucose. In this, the carbohydrate comes from your roti and your rice. But I'm using only my brains and not my muscles. So the quantity that needs to be defined is, as I said earlier, the weight of the person and the BMR. So I could be 70 kgs, but somebody else could be 100 kgs. So a 100 kg guy who's not trying to lose weight could do with 2 servings of rice. But a 70 kg guy could do with only 1 serving of rice. Now, if I want to be a little bit nitpicky, भाई ये तो white rice है, इसका ग्लाइसेमिक इंडेक्स ऊपर है, मतलब ये शरीर के अंदर जाएगा, थप्पड़ देगा, ज़्यादा ग्लूकोज है, लो स्लम, बॉडी से अरे भाई इतना ग्लूकोज दिया, ब्रेन तो यूज़ करो कि आई नीड 40, आपने 100 दिया, एक काम करो ना, लिवर को बोले 60 को एफडी डिपॉजिट कर दो. एफडी डिपॉजिट का मतलब क्या है? फैट डिपॉजिट. White rice can be also responsible for your high triglyceride levels. White flour can be responsible for high triglyceride levels. So am I a laborer? Am I a desk jockey? Oh, 2 roti hai. वो no roti नहीं, sorry, पराठा है. हाँ.
It's not even roti.
तो पराठे का मतलब full fat, full oil. भाई एक molecule का fat है 9 calories. 1 molecule of carbohydrate 4 calories. 1 molecule of protein 4 calories. So suddenly your paratha is Dara Singh. Heavy hitter, right? So now what I'm thinking is, does a desk jockey need so much of roti and so much of rice? So if I come and analyze the person, if the person is with cholesterol, pot belly, 20 kgs over, India, how will you know you're overweight? Do your BMI. Body mass index. It's a ratio of your height to your weight. I'm sure you can calculate it and give them the calculator down below. Now, if you're beyond 24.6 BMI, you're considered obese by the medical fraternity. I'm not a doctor. I'm a nutritionist. So we have said, Arey bhai, that's a waste. Forget BMI. Go with fat percentage. The Indian male should be between 15 to 20% fat. The woman should be between 20 to 25. You can increase that and say that, okay, ठीक है, थोड़ा chubby होने का. But when men cross 25% body fat and women cross 35% body fat, that's when alarm bells go off for the carbohydrate content in your diet, because you're eating too much of carbohydrates. Liver बोलते सलाम साहब, आज तो brain इतना use किया, बाकी का है FD का deposit. So we are spending less, that's the movement is less, and we are depositing more or saving more. So what I would do is I would change my rice or eliminate my rice into millets or brown rice. I would take my maida based paratha and go with whole wheat paratha, or I would go with millets, jowar, bajra. We have forgotten how to eat our jowar, bajra. And then the reason behind it is ease of preparation. It is easier to prepare a maida based wheat paratha than to make a jowar, bajra, amaranth type of chapati. Also what happens, most of the thalis, the paratha and all are not prepared taza immediately. It's prepared about half an hour, 45 minutes earlier. So when you take the roti out, it becomes papad when it's jowar, bajra. So could you find a place that would give you more of a millet based chapati? Go small on it. Now, the other things over here, the palak paneer, you know, I got trolled for making a video on how palak and paneer is a wrong combination for only people who have hemoglobin problems or anemic. But otherwise, for everybody else, perfect amount of protein. Some greens is there. In fact, this and that saag is something that I would put there as the iPhone of this dish, as the Rolls Royce of this dish, as the best option. The batata vada, we will gravitate towards that, because when you are stressed out, the human tendency is to ask the brain, "Bhai, तुमको क्या खाने का है?" Brain बोलेगा, "भाई, कुछ तो मीठा दे दो, कुछ तो fried दे दो." There is a thing when you take oil and you take sugar, it activates the pleasure center in the brain. So you're not eating out of the nutrition in your body, you're eating out of pleasure. And the same goes on the opposite side for our gulab jamun. Should you eat a sweet? Well, I would check if my office had ants by storing that to eat it 2.5, 3 hours later. 4 baje ka time, right? Maybe at that time I would eat it. I'd give a gap.
So if I eat this meal right now and I give a gap of 3 hours and then eat my gulab jamun, that's healthier than eating it along with my
What
meal.
I'm trying to do is I'm trying to distribute my resources whilst not denying you the primal pleasures of eating a dessert.
But is there a signs of insulin spiking?
Absolutely.
Because if I eat, I'm anyways eating carbs, etc., which is anyways going to convert into sugar now. So if I park my gulab jamun for 4 o'clock, it's better off. Is that the logic?
So that's how I want to let India understand that the next 10 years are going to be very exciting. You see, up until 10 years ago, people drove on the roads whatever speed they wanted. Correct? Now what they had, on the highway, 60, 80, 100, the board is there. People say, chalta hai. I will eat what I want. I will drive at what speed I want. The moment they put camera and they started, I got fined in Bangalore just last week. I stopped the car on the zebra, right? And not one day, 2 days in a row, until I got a fine. I was like, Arey, Ryan, look carefully when you're driving. Look carefully. There's a zebra stop before. So now when I drive, I stop before. But it cost me a fine. Where am I going India with this? When you put a CGM device, a continuous glucose monitor on you, even if you're not diabetic, you get mind blown what food does to your sugar spike. Because abhi khayega, kuch nahi dekhta hai, fine nahi mil raha hai na. Fine to 20 साल के बाद आ जाएगा. Bhai, ye le lo, diabetes ka chapa. But before that, how can you figure it out? When you put so many calories inside of you, the sugar spike begins to show on a CGM. Now let's assume, Saloni, nobody has a sugar spike monitor on them. How do I know whether it's right for me? The human stomach is a big bag. Every day if you eat this, bag will expand. Keep looking at your weight. When you first came to work, when you first finished college, first year, second year, third year, fourth year of college, when you went into your first job, first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, sixth, seventh, eighth year of your job, is your weight going up every year? Is your weight going up, India? Your weight is going up. How is it going up? Arey bhai, thali kha rahe. Thali is not bad. You have not figured out what is the portion. Thali is not created by Dadi Ma Mama for you. Thali is being created by a commercial entity to feed you. Ab wahan ja rahe. We have taught, don't waste anything in this. So I would remove out the batata vada. Okay. Then the rest of the stuff, I think, what is that? That is a sabzi.
Yeah. And
there's
that's
a dal. And what would that be? That's like a burji or something?
Yeah, looks like a tomato based.
I think I would I would go with everything in this thali. If I had to rechange, I would remove the batata vada, I would remove the gulab jamun, I would remove the rice. If I want rice because I'm feeling a little fatigued, I would do this portion of rice if I'm in weight maintenance. But if I'm in weight loss, sugar reducing mode, cholesterol reducing mode, I would not do the grains. So what I tell India, our ancestors ate this much of rice, this much of dal, this much of sabzi. Now what we need to do, India now needs to do this. Sabzi jo itna tha, हमको इतना सब्जी खाने का है, इतना दाल खाने का, और जो राइस और रोटी इतना खाने का, क्योंकि हम सब लोग डेस्क जॉकी है. So change the way you're eating and you will then see in the weighing scale ki bhai, I am holding my weight. Then what you can do is buy an advanced weighing scale which gives you fat percentage. If you come to my house, Saloni, at a party, I have a lovely weighing scale. It gives visceral fat. And now visceral fat is a fat internal near my stomach, near my kidney, on top of my heart. Now I've been in medical college and I remember in the autopsy, we saw visceral fat on a heart and it's a very, very ugly looking thing. It is yellow like plaque on top of your heart. The moment you see that, you realize you need to eat healthier. Now nobody goes inside. So the visceral fat scale is there. So what the scale does is says, by Ryan Fernando, you are 48 years of age, you stand on the weighing scale, your metabolic age when you get off the scale is 33. Because your visceral fat is 3. Now the same uncle Ryan Fernando, when he stands on the scale, he's looking at his visceral fat and it's 15, then the weighing scale ke, bhai, tum 65 years ka uncle hai. So we use some of these small things to help people make better choices on the food that we go into them. The charch or buttermilk is good as a probiotic unless a person's allergic to dairy. Otherwise, it's brilliant. By the way, people who are desk jockeys can survive only on the palak paneer, the vegetable sabzi and the charch.
So, I mean, if you had to if you were forced to eat lunch out of this thali, you would just eat palak paneer, the vegetable and chas and be happy.
Yes. And please also understand one thing is the human race has been taught to eat breakfast, lunch and dinner from the industrial revolution point of view because people worked 8 to 10 hours in factories. We were taught in medical college that's the way you feed people. But now when you look at research and data on different diets coming out, including the OMAD, 1 meal a day diet, people have improved biochemistry, improved age in their telomeres when they're eating 1 meal a day. You've been trained as a baby to eat 3 meals a day. But we have had medical cases where it has taken us just 6 weeks to unravel your eating behavior. And now those people eat 1 meal a day. They know their calories, they know their nutrition and that. And then we start seeing people beginning to lose body fat. Why come to my clinic? Do you remember in the pandemic, everyone did intermittent fasting? What is intermittent fasting? You were too lazy to get up and make breakfast. So you were like, bye, let's eat at 12 o'clock directly. So you ate at 12 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Maids were not coming and so you didn't cook that much. Chalo bhai, what I made at lunchtime, I'll eat at dinner time. Boom, 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 boom. People started losing weight. Intermittent fasting is very good. The human race is just eating too much. And food is the driver. Food is the driver of psychological gratification.
Happiness, instant happiness. Ryan, that sort of brings me to this topic of snacking. I hear two things, right? One is people who are promoters of intermittent fasting who say that you should eat less, give break to your gut. And then there are folks that say eat every 2 hours. Even they say eat healthy and nutritious. But there's this concept of having smaller portions of food more often. Which is a better approach, according to you?
As I always take the stance of a judge, a nutritionist judge, I never pass judgment on which side is better. Let me expand a little bit for you. When somebody is wanting to eat many small meals, what am I looking at? I'm looking at their blood chemistry levels. I'm looking at is there any loss of muscle mass. See, when you eat small meals, it could be because you have a digestibility problem, acidity problem, or like in Ayurveda, you have a kapha, pitta, vata. Different types of body types are told how to eat. So I do not shoot down eating smaller meals until I put a CGM on you and see that you're getting high fluctuations in your insulin level or I'm stabilizing your insulin levels. Second is the design of those frequent meals. So when you categorically make it more nutritious, more healthier in smaller frequent portions, and that agrees with whatever medical condition or health condition or weight goal that you have, then that could be a thumbs up for you. Parallelly, you could be a person who wants to lose weight and you may want to do only 3 solid meals in the day or 1 solid meal in the day or 6 small meals in the day. Again, the crux of the success comes in reducing your insulin resistance.
Got it.
Reducing portion to a level where satiety is being met. So let's play this out, okay? I've got Ryan Fernando, eat 3 meals a day. I eat 1 meal at 8 o'clock, 1 meal at 1 o'clock and another meal at 7 o'clock. But between 8 and 1, I start feeling hungry at 11 o'clock. Now I get indisciplined and order batata vada or gulab jamun, right? So then I understand the character of mine is there is something that is pulling me either psychologically or physiologically to eating in that. So the whole eating pattern clock and the quantity is a trial and error with yourself over a 3 to 6 month period. And therefore, you will get different types of people on the planet. You will get snackers, you will get voracious 1 meal eaters, you will get voracious 6 meal eaters. And the job of a nutritionist is to figure out, not to tell that person you're right or wrong, but to identify what could be the problems currently in the eating pattern he or she has, and what could be the future problems that come in. But if you still put a gun to my head and said, what's best? And we were living 2000 years ago, you'd be blessed to get one meal a day. Because you'd either hunt your food or your food hunted you. Right? So I think in that
kind of answers.
Yeah, I think basically if you got one meal a day, you'd be happy. Now, what's the problem? There's so much of distraction. Temptation is also very, very high. So getting people to resist it when they have no problem. Why would they eat one meal a day? You have the money. You say it's my God-given right to eat this. I don't have any problem. Let me enjoy my life. Let me live as is. By the way, over the years, I've figured out that a lot of people eat more because they have breathing problems.
Wow, breathing is connected to...
So when I breathe very well, short breaths, my breath hits the top of my lungs. So the sympathetic nervous system, flight or fight, always stress. Short breaths, short breath. The moment I'm exhausted, tired, I take a sigh. When I sigh, I hit the bottom of my lungs, which is the parasympathetic nervous system, the calming system. You release more cortisol and adrenaline in the top part. So more stress means I will, because of my shallow breathing, have my brain lattied into feeding me more because my heart rate is going too high. Research has actually shown people who did not sleep well the previous night will require more sugar in their teas, coffees and food, because the more sugar is the evolutionary form of saying my heart is beating faster today because a tiger is chasing me. Sorry, tiger is not chasing me. I didn't sleep well last night because Netflix was chasing me.
No, you're absolutely right. When I'm sleep deprived, I crave carbs and sugar. And I think my most unhealthy days are the days where I'm sleep deprived due to something.
If India wants to beat the temptation of junk food, all you have to do is sleep 7 to 8 hours for 45 days continuously and tell me if your junk food craving stops or not.
Wow, I think this is the takeaway that everyone needs, because we all know it's bad, but then there are cravings and we're sort of stuck in that cycle, vicious cycle of what to do and how to get out. And the solution is...
Sleep is the new diet, in my opinion. Saloni, did you know that there was this study in Uppsala University in the Scandinavian countries where they fed people junk food and saw how it affected their sleep. And they found no difference in it affecting the sleep. So Saturday, Sunday, you go eat your junk food. It doesn't affect the duration of your sleep. You'll go to sleep on Sunday night, you'll sleep. You'll go to sleep on Monday night, you'll sleep. You ate junk food Saturday, Sunday. When I read the study, I went in a little deeper as a sports nutritionist. What caught my attention, and I went, whoa! People should not eat junk food on Saturday and Sunday when they have to be very creative on Monday and Tuesday. Why? When you eat junk food, apparently the quality of sleep, so you have the light sleep, you have the REM sleep, and you have the deep sleep, the sine wave sleep. The SWS sleep happens in the first 3 hours of the night. When you eat junk food or you consume alcohol, you miss out on your SWS sleep, which is a sine wave sleep. On sleep studies conducted, they found out the longer your SWS sleep, the greater is the secretion of growth hormone, which has an impact on your stem cells. What are stem cells? Snow White. Snow White meaning beauty. You know, they say, did you get your beauty sleep? Eating junk food, drinking alcohol, India, on a Saturday, Sunday, don't get you to become beautiful on Monday and Tuesday in the figurative and every sense that I'm saying it. So guess what? I do my cheat meal the day before my legs on Friday or Thursday. Because I know I'm going to burn that off. I know my sleep's going to get affected, but Saturday, Sunday, I get my beauty sleep. So this is very, very important.
And I think there's this huge weekend culture where people... I personally, I think I'm quite healthy Monday to Friday. It's the Saturday and Sunday where things go haywire.
I'd like to paint a picture for you. Saloni, and you'll remember me every time you go out partying on Saturday, Sunday. You are a Rolls Royce. You can't change this Rolls Royce. Your dealer from where you bought your Rolls Royce has said, Madam, this is the most expensive vehicle on the planet. You own it. You are the driver, you are the landlord. Please do not take it off-roading. Saloni is like, yes, sir, I will not take it off-roading. It's the best vehicle in the world. Guess what, Saloni? On Saturday, Sunday, you decide to go off-roading. The car is really good. It'll survive 1, 2, 3 decades. 4th decade, you take it into the dealership. Madam Saloni, you've been off-roading quite a lot. The left bearing is not working well. The pistons have gone. The fuel lines are not working well. Shock absorbers are gone. Right? Right? Saloni, you're supposed to carry only 4 people in this car. You're kind of carrying like 100 people in this car. What's with the weight load? Why is your shock absorber broken? Are you driving off-roading too much? Eating badly, not respecting the most expensive vehicle you have, is the thought process that on one hand, I am, let's say, an advocate telling you, please eat healthy. On the other side, there's an advocate, Saloni. You have worked really hard Monday to Friday. It is your God-given right to party and revelry and put all the good quality, obnoxious material so that you have brain pleasure, but your body is crying on Saturday and Sunday. So for me, when the alcohol industry, the food industry, they talk about your health, wine is never good for your health. That was just them trying to market it. People come in and say, this food is good for your health. Like recently, there was somebody saying that, could you promote quinoa as a higher protein grain? I'm like, it's quinoa, right? Rice is rice, quinoa is rice. They are all vehicles for me. One may be better than the other. But to tell a person that this is going to cure your disease, I think what people need to do is just come back to the essence of, can I just respect what I put in my body? And one teenage girl gave me the most beautiful line ever. She said, and she calls me Uncle Ryan. She's been with me from like a small kid. Uncle Ryan, I just say this to when the plate is put on for me. Are you worthy to enter my body? I was like, that's the most powerful thing a teenager could ever tell me. So when you make those decisions about food, when you're placing the order, like for today, I am not having a lunch. Why am I not having a lunch? Because when the lunch comes and I'm not in control of that ordering, I am now suspecting that lunch is it worthy to enter my body? Now you may argue with me saying that, no, but you've been here since morning and it's lunchtime. I'm like, the human race anyways eats too much. I can hold off for another 4 hours. I missed a meal. It was like me and you living in ancient times and we didn't have a supermarket. We didn't have the e-commerce apps. We didn't have home delivery. We didn't have dabas. We didn't have restaurants. We just sat in a field and watched the crows. Okay, today there's no food. Right? So, yes, it does sound boring, but I sit on the other side of fence where cancer patients walk into my clinic. Obese people with bariatric surgery walk into my clinic. Breast cancer people walk into my clinic. Diabetes, dime by dozen, walk into my clinic. BP and hypertension is like, it's like the bacteria in the human body. There are that many people having BP and hypertension. Skin problems. Skin problems are so rampant in our country that it's not funny. The younger generation has got so much of skin problems and they are in denial. Men are getting bald at younger ages. You walk into any, I do a lot of people watching. So if I go to a mall, my wife will go into a shop, I'll stand on that glass rail in the mall and I'll look down. And you'll see the youngsters getting bald now.
You know what is the average age of a Traya customer?
Not really.
27.
No, 27. I would have expected 37. And that's where diet plays a key role, because you're studying hard, working hard, landing that super job, working really hard in that job, but putting anything into your body. And that's affecting your skin, affecting your hair. But I hope that the message gets out that I'm not against food. I'd eat a packet of Lay's every now and then. I'd have a single malt every now and then. but the number of incidences of exposure are controlled by me. Because on the other side, when I take my father to the hospital, he didn't have Google and the awareness or Ryan Fernando to educate him about what to eat, when to eat, and how much to eat.
So, Ryan, I understand that one should eat less and eat less number of times, but sometimes you feel hungry in between. And for me, that's 5 o'clock in the evening, where it's still not dinner time, but I'm hungry at work. And that's when I make my mistakes. Um, can there be better alternatives to snacking?
So, snacking basically means you are hungry. Why are you hungry at around 5 o'clock? Because evolution has made you in such a way that you eat before sundown. Because when we did not have electricity, you didn't go hunting for your food. You stayed within the enclave of your village. Otherwise, the hunter became hunted in the darkness. So we in India now eat very late. Stomach is still on the old evolutionary cycle. So eating at 5 o'clock means India needs to be far more cautious. Because at that time, you're at office, you're at the end of a day, you feel it's your God-given right to reward yourself. You're earning a little bit of money. You have the e-commerce apps. You can press a button and get samosa, batata vada, kachori, jalmuri. You can get chuda. You can get all the possible sinful snacks. And the portions that are being sent to you are gigantic. What I normally advise my client to do at this point is have green tea, chamomile tea, and I do a trail mix. Salted pistachio with some raisins. So you get the salt and you get the sweet. And you pack it in a Ziploc and take it to your work, because then you're portion control. Because like if you keep the whole trail mix, which is sold in 200-gram packets, and you're on a stressful day, you'll eat just more than you really require, which is actually 5 days requirement. I always tell people 1 hour of walking is 180 calories. An average 5 p.m. snack is 300 to 400 calories. So you lose the battle in weight loss or healthy weight because of this 5 p.m. snacking. Now people say, oh, I've got this craving, I have this and that. What is craving, Saloni? Craving is, if you and I existed 10,000 years ago, if we got a craving, we'd eat dirt or we'd eat fruits. Sweet craving. Sweet in that time was only a fruit. So you'd go on hunting for a mango tree. Oh, eat mangoes. Got your load of vitamin and minerals for 3 months, and hopefully it would sustain you for 2-3 months. In today's day and age, the breakfast, lunch and dinner that we're eating is nutritionally deficient, either because of your choice of food or the farming practices on how it is grown. And so the nutrient density quality is gone for a toss. So your body is already on the back foot. And then you have these stress markers coming in, which is your brain activating at high frequency. This is multitasking and all. So you're going to consume a lot of glucose. So if you've eaten a meal at 3 o'clock, then within 3 hours, it's going to digest out. The brain's going to be like, this person's brain requires constant glucose. Please get me more food. Sugar craving. And finally, I remember watching a documentary on Animal Planet. They showed these leaf-cutting ants. And these leaf-cutting ants would cut up the leaves and take it into the hive, and the fungus would grow on top of the leaf, and the ants would eat a certain molecule released by the fungus, which made them very happy. Now, in the human body, when we take too much of sugar, imagine that sugar going into your gut and growing fungus inside. And the fungus releases a certain molecule that tells your brain, bhai, sugar bej do, sugar bej do. Sugar comes in. So our snacking is an addiction, good wallet purchasing capacity. I am entitled to press any button on an e-commerce app, and I'm unaware of any nutritional deficiencies that I may have. Now you slice all of this together, it's one major addictive problem. And the solution is to tell a person how, have a trail mix. Not easy. Starts in psychology, moves into physiology. So I think when people are snacking, the only thing they can do is drink more water, electrolytes, check for magnesium deficiency, check for insulin resistance, and have a goal that is more powerful than your taste buds. So like an Amir Khan, a Shahid Kapoor, a Anushka Sharma, they're going to be shooting on a set like this. They're going to be craving something at the same time, but they know tomorrow they need to be presentable in front of the camera, and not tomorrow, for the next 15, 20 years. So they will do the right thing.
I think that's the most important, to sort of have a goal which is larger than just the instant gratification of food.
Absolutely.
I really want to move now into this celebrity piece, right? And I have been waiting to ask you this. You've been working with Virat Kohli, Anushka Sharma, Shahid Kapoor, all of these folks. How do they really have such an amazing body? And do you get normal people coming to you and say कि मुझे ऐसा बना दो, मुझे विराट कोहली जैसी या शाहिद कपूर जैसी body चाहिए? What is your sort of reply to that?
So, obviously, I worked with all of these film stars at some point in my career. Many of the plans go on for 6 months to 1 year to 2 years. We teach them how to eat correctly. What have I learned from them? The discipline between an Aam Aadmi and a Virat Kohli is completely different. You see, in athletes and film stars, there is a certain mindset that you need to achieve. And once you achieve, you need to sustain. It's very simple, Saloni, to that topper in your class. Now, I was not a topper, but I remember that topper would go home and study every day. And I would go home and watch TV. Right? But today, because I need to be the number one nutritionist in the country, whilst an IPL match is going on, I'm reading 3 scientific papers. Now, when I tell somebody that if I'm not studied, if I'm not prepared, it's not going to give me the necessary ability to be a better nutritionist. So these film stars, yes, they're blessed with good genes. They're blessed with talent. They're blessed with opportunity, which they create themselves. But to turn up every day, for example, Shahid Kapoor is getting up at 4:30 in the morning when he has to go for a 7 o'clock shoot. And whilst you and I are sleeping in bed, he's already finished a workout, finished his cold plunge, done his meditation and breathing, had his breakfast, sitting in his car when your alarm and my alarm is going off.
Wow.
So the thought process over here is, if you want something, you can do it. The other thing is, all the successful people that I've worked with all have coaches with them. They have a makeup coach. They have a fashion coach. They have an acting coach. They have a nutrition coach. Everyone's a coach in their life, right? So they've built this system. Now, many people turn around like, I don't have the money that these guys have to take and do what they do. Putting food into your mouth doesn't require money. It requires willpower. And the difference between an Aam Aadmi and celebrity, in what I see, the difference between Aam Aadmi and a sports person is the desire to excel. And that desire to excel translates into, I need to be disciplined for my own benefit. And that is the difference between a celebrity's thinking and an Aam Aadmi's thinking.
I think very beautifully put, because my next question was going to be, should a 9 to 5 Aam Aadmi person even strive to, look like them or be as fit as they are? And I think I don't want to ask that question anymore, because I think their life is tougher than us, right? The hours of shooting that they have, it's not 9 to 5 as comfortable as just 9 to 5.
I once went home and I was telling my wife, I don't envy the celebrities at all. Their schedules are crazy. Politicians, people like to put down politicians. I do many politicians' nutrition plan. Saloni, the politicians don't get time to pee. They don't take time to drink water because they're going from meeting to meeting. They stop somewhere, they can't even look at the phone. The PA is handling the phone for the wife. कि मेम साहब कॉल कर रहे हैं, आप लंच कभी ले रहा है, आपका डाइटिशियन ने बोला कि इस टाइम पर खाने का है, सो लाइक ब्रिंग द लंच टू मी. लिटरली मेनी ऑफ द पीपल दे आर बीइंग फेड द लंच बिकॉज दे आर डूइंग 20 अदर थिंग्स. द क्वेश्चन हियर फॉर अ 9 to 5 is this: will changing your nutrition have a profound effect on your productivity? The answer is a resounding yes. We worked in a Fortune 500 company when I was the chief nutritionist in my clinic. And those were the days when I went at the ground level and sat in a Fortune 500 company. So I'll give you a simple change that we did, okay? We did a questionnaire of 100 people. And what we found out was that one of the most common symptoms tick marked was constipation. So out of 100 people, around 60 plus people said constipated. And then we went in and did their nutritional counseling. So it's counseling means we talk about what do you eat, when do you eat, what's your schedule like, what's your wake up time, what's your sleep time, etc., etc. What do you like, what do you not like, which foods agree with you, which foods don't agree with you. We figured out all of that, and then we go head to toe, starting with dandruff, going through the entire digestive system, going into skin, muscular system, everything. We ask all the questions. And we found that constipation was common. And one of the questions in our survey was, how many glasses of water do you drink in a day? Now, what we found out was after the team of 3 or 4 sat down, we saw there were 60 plus people, so 60% had constipation. The water coolers were far away. They had no personal water bottles, right? So all we did was a process of medical diagnosis, said that you're not drinking enough of water, so your stool becomes jada, becomes tight. And so it's a dehydration problem. So we brought the water coolers to the closer to them on each floor, and we provided them with personalized water bottles so that they could track how much they drink. 60 plus dropped down to 28 in the next quarter survey. Productivity improved. We were not able to benchmark it. But if people are pooping better, imagine when you walk through that door in the morning, how happy or how sad you are. And so if you have an angry boss at work, sometimes they just say, give your angry boss a banana.
Or ask him to drink water.
Or ask him or her to drink water. Because at the end of the day, productivity in the workplace is keenly dependent on your nutritional strategies. So you are the celebrity of your life in your workplace. Now, I'll give you many CEOs, CXOs who are not celebrities. They get up in the morning, they work out, they do their breath work, because you know what? One CEO said this to me. He said, Ryan, I'm 52, 53 years of age. The average age of my team is half my age. With the advent of technology, every 20 to 30-year-old has the tools to be a CEO. So how do I inspire them? I can't inspire them with my experiential wisdom. I can inspire them by being motivational. And how can I be motivational if I am unhealthy, unfit, I am dozing off in the meetings where they are presenting things to me and I've lost train of thought? So you need to become an Olympian in your workplace, because today, assume, let's say X is your salary and you want to go to 30X tomorrow. Do you do it in the same body, or do you do it in a body which is a celebrity body? And that is reason enough that every 20 to 30-year-old out there should become the celebrity of their life and enroll in their own mapping of how to become a celebrity for what they do.
I think makes so much sense. And being healthy is sort of, the ground fundamental that one should focus on. Like you have been saying multiple times, that's what we should invest in, and that's what matters, right? Like most expensive real estate. But do you think some celebs just look good and are not really healthy? And I mean, I see these celebs sometimes transforming their body to 6 packs for a role and then gaining weight for another role. How do they manage this?
So we do have chemical wizardry happening. And when I say chemical wizardry, what happens is you have both medicine and you have herbs and nutritional supplements, which when the body is aggressively put into a stranglehold, now it could be good, bad or ugly, they recruit the best doctors, the best nutritionists, the best plastic surgeons if required, the best XYZ. I'm not saying everybody does this. What am I saying to people out there? The body transformations that happen with a lot of investment in time, effort, blood and sweat effort, and maybe money, right? So I still remember when I did the genetic plan for Mr. Amir Khan many years ago. I can't even remember how long ago that was. And it was for the Dangal role, because obviously Dangal was about a wrestler. I had won 2 Olympic medals as the nutritionist to Sushil Kumar. So the movie, they wanted Sushil's advice, and Sushil was telling them how he prepared and what he did. So Mr. Amir Khan, being the stickler for perfection, said, who's your nutritionist? So they got in touch with me. So I said, look, I do genetic testing. So we did all of that. And when we did the nutrition genetic test, I remember Mr. Amir saying that, you just tell me what I need to eat. And I was like, it was one of the first celebrities that I worked with, right? So Sushil Kumar to Amir Khan. And in my mind, I was very young at that point and juvenile. I'm like, yeah, like you're going to be disciplined. You know, after I looked at your dietary recall, how can you be disciplined? And he had reached like 98 plus kgs because he had to look like the father in that role. And, you know, life had thrown him a bad hand. So that first part was the bulking. So now I had to work on the cutting. So in that part, I was like, how are you going to get disciplined? And he made a statement like, look, don't worry. Even if I'm going to meet Mr. Ambani or the President of India, my PA will ensure that whatever you have told me will be available in that meeting at that time, because I am Mr. Amir Khan. That is the focus. That is a single-minded focus, not only with Sir. I found it with Virat Kohli. I found it with Manoj Bajpayee. Even Anupam Kher right now, I'm working with him on a movie role. And he's got amazing focus to like, yes, I am a foodie. I love my food. And he grapples with me on like, hey, boss, you can't give me this combination of bengar bharta and cabbage. It just doesn't work. And we like that because now we know that our film star is actually reading the nutrition plan. And then they're pulling up somebody for changing the menu plan. So a lot of times we are giving out in the green van, which restaurant should they be ordering from? We are talking to the chef in that hotel. It should be made this way.
Wow.
Now they do that sort of level of focus because they know that the role demands it. And these body transformations, like Amir would have done more than 25 kilometers of walking a day to burn off that fat. When I ask my clients to burn 10,000 steps a day, oh, 10,000 steps a day, it is so difficult. 10,000 is only maintenance. You want to latte that fat out of your body, you got to be chugging in 25 kilometers of walking a day. Now, why walking? Walking is the only exercise at which your heart rate is not stressed out and your substrate utilization of fuel is not carbohydrate or glycogen in your muscle, but the reserves of fat stored in your body. So try and convince a film star to walk for 15 kilometers a day when he doesn't have time in terms of shooting. So I know of film stars, can't take names. Certain of them have non-disclosure agreements with me. But I have a film star who had put a treadmill in the vanity van.
Wow.
So whilst waiting for the other person or the other part of the set to shoot, the person was on the treadmill trying to get the number of steps because that was what was required 3 months later when the six-pack shoot came. So at the end of the day, I think in the olden days before CGI and all, when I worked, it was hard work, sweat and blood by a lot of these guys. Now, I know your next question will be, do they do drugs? Do they do steroids? Do they do all of these things? I have never been exposed to a film star that is crazy enough to say that give me all of these drugs and steroids.
So Ryan, I understand what you just said, but let's talk about supplements a little bit, right? Because that's also, I feel that supplements are important. Somehow, no matter how nutritious I eat, how much I try to sort of be very disciplined with my diet, I still feel that I require some things. And so what is your view on supplements and what are some of the, I know it's very one-on-one, but what are the top few supplements or deficiencies that you feel Indians in general have?
So I have this very famous line that I've always used. Supplements are a nutritional convenience for your nutritional indiscipline. Now, the nutritional indiscipline could be designed by you or accidentally cast upon you. designed by you is, you know you're supposed to eat a good quality protein diet. You know you're not supposed to eat bad fried foods. You know you're not supposed to eat high sugar foods which imbalance your insulin and create hormonal imbalances. Or it is slapped upon you because the food that you thought that was nutritious, whilst the food is coming to you, a guava, a pineapple, a banana, a palak, does not have the same micronutrients in it as our dadi ma got. So when you look at these two, we're kind of playing on the back foot. I always have to play on the back foot. I'm telling this to the consumer. Now the consumer says, okay, sure, should I take a supplement? And this is where I say, hold on. The domain of a supplement should be ideally controlled by a doctor. But with due respect to your doctor, I believe your doctor did not give you a magnesium because we did not visit the doctor for something as simple as cramps or tight muscles or sugar craving. Absolutely. Right? But if you go to a doctor, he will say that you need magnesium. But what happens is you and I are exposed to people like me, nutritionist or gym trainer or physiotherapist, or you're watching a podcast like this, we're like, oh, hang on, tight muscles, tight potty, sugar cravings, you got a magnesium deficiency. Somebody will Google it up and like, okay, Ryan said to do a blood test, diagnostic, genetic test, diagnostic, microbiome diagnostic. Now, you will start getting blueprints of your own body. You know, if you and I played X and zeros, and by chance I got your cheat code of knowing what is your next move, I will know whether I have to play X in which part of X and 0. Supplements are like that. Sometimes you know where you have to play it, but you're not aware of your blueprint. So getting to know about your blueprint, then I'll give you an example. There is a gene called COL5A1 gene. It's a collagen gene. I could be wrong on it, but there's a collagen gene. Okay. Now this collagen gene produces your collagen. Now in today's world, everyone's providing collagen supplements, right? But what you don't understand is the collagen goes into your stomach, is broken down into its amino acids. The amino acids go back into your blood and they are repackaged as the collagen that your body requires. Now, before repackaging, there is a computer software code called the gene. The gene, if it's thumbs up, will produce your collagen correctly. If it's thumbs down, will not produce your collagen correctly. So when a gene is not functioning very well, it's a thumbs down, the perspective of diet, which is food, so enhance the foods that are high in collagen, which is basically your non-veg. In the vegetarian family, it's a little bit of brinjal that may have some amount of those amino acids that help produce your collagen. So when I take this line, I'm like, hey buddy, if you have a nutritional deficiency gene or a nutritional back foot because absorption is poor, because of your diet or genetically, then could I provide a convenience to you in the form of a nutritional supplement? The problem lies in today's world, the ones who are aware are over-prescribing to themselves. So self-prescription is also detrimental. Like for example, when COVID happened, everyone realized, oh, vitamin C and zinc is very important for immune system. But there was a paper that came out that says too much of zinc also switches off your immune system. Too little zinc also switches off your immune system. So there's a perfect amount which evolution has given you, which ideally should come from your diet. So being a nutritionist, running a nutritionist clinic, I am pro-food. Being a former marketing and business head of 2 large supplement brands, where I sold supplements to people and told people, buy this product, this powder, this pill is very good for you. Everyone would turn around and say, bhai, bolo dal chawal roti kaisa lene ka hai? So I think you have to look at supplements not as a single knife to cut into a problem, but look at supplement and food together in tangent to each other, and both of them tango together to give you a great result.
I think makes sense. Thank you so much for sharing that. I also want to understand a little bit about artificial sugars or sugar-free. And I'll give you an example. We make this dal chila, which is gluten-free, high on protein, very healthy. There are no carbs. It's just made of dal, whatever carb dal has, that's it. And but the question that comes is, isko banane mein bahut oil lag raha hai. And is it, and oil is bad and fat is bad, and whether it's olive oil or coconut oil is bad, is something that I hear a lot from my parents. And I have been questioning that and reading up on that. Would really want you to help me understand, one is myth around oil, and the second, or whether it's a myth or not, and the second is sugar free is better than sugar.
So I'll take the first one on this dal chila. We actually test for the genes for polyunsaturated, monounsaturated, and saturated fats in the diet. And over the years, we have found out that there are people respond differently to different fats. So my body doesn't respond well to MUFA, monounsaturated, which is olive oil, peanut oil, groundnut oil. I respond better to sunflower and safflower oil. Now, in the generic world, we know that vegetable oils slap your body. So I go with logic. If we went 10,000 years ago, we didn't cook food with oil. We caught it, killed it, we grew it, we put it on a barbecue, roasted it on a stone, and ate it. The question of taking out oil from a seed or a plant and then using that for tadka or using it for basting or frying did not exist till about maybe 200, 300 years ago. So the quantity of oil we're putting into our diet from whatever the source is, in my opinion, is the real culprit. So it's not about the which oil, it's more first, isme zyada tel hai. So you get a better tawa, you get a air fryer, you get oil sprays. And I have seen, Saloni, that when my wife makes a biryani and my housekeeping makes a biryani, when I do the dishes and wash the plate, बीबी का जो बिरयानी है आसान से साफ होता है क्योंकि बीबी को पता है कि कम तेल यूज करने का है. Whereas when you look at a housekeeping preparing it, अरे यार किसका बाप क्या जाता है, तेल डाल दो यार,
टेस्टी बनाना है.
Not really tasty. It's there in every kitchen. So when I was at the 5-star kitchen, I told the chef, low oil, low fat biryani. We are tomorrow, day after tomorrow, working on how can we go zero oil. Matlab, I want garib wala tadka. Do you know what's garib wala tadka? Garib wala tadka is if you go and live in rural India or with very poor people, they will do the tadka of spices in water because tel is very expensive, मेम साहब. और हमारा जो हाउसकीपिंग का मेम साहब है ना, चलो लगा दो, टेस्ट अच्छा होता है, साहब के पास भी बड़ा वॉलेट है. I think this is where we need to kind of reduce it, go to water, tadka and all. We don't need so much of oil. And that 1 gram of oil is equivalent to 9 calories. So when you come to Bangalore and you go to the most famous cafe which makes dosa and they are squeezing those ghee packets onto that dosa, people are asking me, ghee acha hai? Ghee acha hai? 5 ml, 10 ml, पूरा दिन के अंदर 15 ml. 15 ml के ऊपर your famous cardiologist Devi Shetty will say, boss, you're putting a gun to your head. You know, cigarettes have, smoking is injurious to our health. It may cause cancer. It is there now even in the movies, right? A day will come on that oil packet. Mark my words, Saloni, the day you see this, you'll remember Ryan Fernando. Consumption of ghee and oil in copious quantities is injurious to your health. I'm not criticizing ghee. I'm not criticizing olive oil. I'm not criticizing any of the oil, sunflower, safflower oil. I am saying the methodology and preparation and use to get that beautiful mouth feel is using copious amounts of oil. And that is where the problem lies with today's world. And then we shift into we got the oil. The other pleasure sensation is sweet. Sugar बहुत खतरनाक है. हम sugar free use करेगा. The problem comes is at a young age we're introducing our children to sweet. My son never tasted sweet till he was 3 years of age. What do you do when a child is born? The first meal that is fed is good, little bit of oil and little bit of salt. I disagree with this ancient wisdom. Don't feed your kid salt and sugar for the first 3 years of his or her life.
Even salt?
All foods have normal salt. Where is our... Tell me which kid in urban India is in the field, sitting in the chaddi and bathing in the sun and sweating the whole day. Which kid? Our kids now, when they go out to play, get 1 hour of sunshine, they're running back in to play on their iPads. So the podcast audience I'm talking to is our children, and especially in the English medium podcast, our children don't need that much of salt. Unless, they have a salt deficiency gene, which you have done a swab at the age of 6 months of age, which I did for my kid. And my kid didn't have a salt deficiency gene. So like, fine, TK, you don't need to add more salt in. Yes, if you prepare food for you, you don't prepare separate food for your kid. But what I'm saying is introducing your child to French fries, kurkure, Pepsi. You're growing on a Rajdhani train journey and you see all the parents feeding their children those snacks. Why? No, because it was very convenient to pick it up and give it to the kid. Now, once the kid gets the nasha of a chips packet, which has been scientifically designed by food scientists to activate all the pleasure centers of the brain from your taste buds, why would a child say they don't want to eat it? So coming back to the sugar conundrum, don't feed your children too early sugar and salt so they don't develop an immediate craving and threshold. We should keep educating our teenage children on the fallacies of having too much of sugar. Parents should stop the account of children from going out to all these cafes and eating desserts. And to all the teenagers out there, if you are doing the dessert, share one dessert with 3 of your friends. So we come to sugar, artificial sweeteners. The jury is out on artificial sweeteners still. It's not come back saying it's bad. But there are 1 or 2 papers that I read where it says it does affect the gut microbiome, number 1. Number 2, when I had the CGM, the glucose monitor on my arm, for certain sweeteners, the body perceived the sweetness spike for me to release more sugar from my own liver in preparation of some, because the sugar was not there, right? So it had a feedback loop mechanism. So it was very interesting to see that now things like S-alphamine, sucralose, aspartame, no matter what anybody tells me, I am of the viewpoint that putting these things into your body because they are not found in nature and not found in the human body. Monk fruit found in nature, put in the body. Stevia found in nature, okay, put in the body. Something not found in nature, I'm a little suspect. And when it comes to the sweeteners, your threshold can improve as you grow older. So if you meet a 60-year-old who's diabetic and you suddenly give them sugar, they're like, this is so sweet. Because for 10 years they were eating sugar. So you detox yourself from sugar for 3 months. So earlier you would put 2 teaspoons of sugar in your milk, tea, coffee. Now, if sugar is not good enough and you need the sugar craving fix, check that your sugar craving is because of a vitamin and mineral deficiency, chiefly coming in from magnesium, vitamin B12, vitamin B6. I don't think vitamin D is related to sugar craving, but I know that vitamin D is the backbone for cholesterol and a lot of hormonal molecules to come together. So when I've just corrected vitamin and mineral deficiencies, clients have said to me, cravings have come down. When we eat cleaner, you change the microbiome. So you don't have these gunda bacteria
asking for more,
asking you for sugar. You don't have this fungus giving you a craving to feed it more sugar. So at the end of the day, the sweeteners, in my opinion, are no from a chemical point of view, but go back and address the real devil in the room, which is the sugar craving is because you're stressed out, you're hormonally imbalanced, nutritionally unsound. Fix that. And 99% of the people will never have a nutritional craving.
Ryan, I want to play a small fun game with you. I'm going to read some snacks. These are snacks that are all unhealthy but commonly eaten. And I need you to sort of tell me alternatives. This is my way of stealing some interesting meal ideas from your sort of nutritional plans that you share. So starting with the first, instant noodles.
Switch to vegetable-based noodles, meaning instead of maida or flour or any refined flour inside the noodle, go with noodles that are extracted from beetroot, zucchini, capsicum. Um, you could also look at whole grains. So instead of having pure flour, you could have the whole wheat atta or whole ragi, whole amaranth as a part of your noodles.
Biscuits and cookies.
Absolute no. I would say biscuit and cookies not from a nutritional point of view, but just from a dessert point of view. And to replace biscuit and cookies, I would go with pistas, almonds, walnuts, because these are nutritionally more power packed. Yes, they're calorie dense like a biscuit, because the calorie density of a biscuit and sugar is high, but the nature's equivalent matching, in my opinion, would be a dry fruit trail mix or a dry fruit laddu.
Chai and coffee. Milk-based, sugar-based chai and coffee.
India hates me for this because I say don't drink tea and don't drink coffee, drink black tea and black coffee. That's what I ask. And if I can quickly delve into this, anyone who joins your company and every day drinks 2 cups of milk tea or milk coffee with 2 teaspoons of sugar is a 5.5 kg weight gain in the whole year, only from that cup of milk tea and sugar tea. 5.5 kg weight gain.
The CCD machine out.
Whereas if you have black tea or black coffee, no sugar, no milk, it is a 0 calorie gain in the year, therefore 0 weight gain. So people say, why do I need tea and coffee? Because you're nutritionally unsound. Your brain cannot go for 3 hours in a podcast because I'm tired, I didn't eat correctly. Chai, coffee, sab kuch lene ka hai. Boss, you're nutritionally unsound. Therefore, you need the caffeine fix. It's not a caffeine fix. You eat correctly for 6 weeks. I promise you, you'll be on a high. You don't need tea, coffee. And then when you take tea, coffee, it's green tea, white tea, black tea.
Chips.
I've got a soft spot for chips. And I think it's got to do with my snacking gene and my salt metabolism. So I think my body tells me to crave for chips. So what I do is I go in for olives. I go in for homemade kakras, gluten-free kakras. Chips appeal to us because of the flavor profile. So if you can create salt, sugar and umami on rusk biscuit. So what I do is I get gluten-free rusk biscuit because I'm gluten sensitive. My mouth is actually watering. And I buy onion relish, olive tapenade, and a little bit of mayo, and a little bit of salt and pepper, and 2 drops of organic tomato sauce. I mix all of that and put it on my organic rusk and I eat it. Now I get the crunch because it's rusk, hard. The calorie content on this is lesser because the chips packet is what? I'll eat only 2 rusk. But a chips packet is large. So one tip, if you ever buy a chips packet, try and get the 10 rupee chips packet. So in my house, 3 of us are sharing a 10 rupee chips packet. We are all fighting for that biggest 2 pieces of wafer in that chips packet. And then everyone's like, we're all human, but go smaller on your chips packet because on the lips, straight to the hips.
Chivda.
So chuda is, I think, very good. But what's happened over a period of time, the chuda is being put into a fried process. So you want to go for the baked process. I think spices are okay. Like if you have coriander, you have bay leaf, you have masala, pepper, all of this is turmeric, all of this is okay. The problem is that oil coming in and then the sugar. I know a lot of people add a little bit of sugar to get sugar, salt, spice, all of that flavors coming in.
Bhujia.
I think there's a bhujia industry out there. They might put a hit on me and I might be assassinated. So I'll be very cautious about bhujia. It's very close to a lot of people's heart. I would say that this fat craving, there is a gene actually, Saloni, for people being inclined towards a sweet tooth or a fat craving. So bhujia, kachori, samosa, batata vada, these are all coming in that zone. Just do portion control is what I tell people. And the problem is, can bhujias be bought in portion control? That I don't know. So that's one food I would not take panga with. I would not go into battle. And I don't think there's an alternative because, bhujia is really nice. So it's kind of like, do I really deserve this? So I would do bhujia after a heavy workout or before a heavy workout. Go and burn it off.
The thing is, when you work out and you do a good workout, I don't think one should have any craving of bhujia.
That's why I say to people, because you feel so good after a workout and then you're like, dude, I did so many squats. You bhujia are not worthy to come into my body.
Absolutely. It's the days when I miss my workout that I end up eating unhealthy.
And you know, only about 3% of urban India actually works out. So when 90% of India is probably not working out, they don't understand the power of what a workout does to the endorphin release. So endorphin is the feel-good factor. So I go to work, I'm tired. I run my household, I take care of my family, I feel tired. I got so many things to do, I feel tired. I go for a workout, I feel tired, but the add-in vector there is endorphins. But once you begin to start working out, what happens is most people who start working out, they'll buy a nice pair of shoes, good clothes, good attire. It begins to look fit better, a little bit tighter fitting. So because you're going to lose weight and all. Now suddenly you're working hard for 45 minutes to 1 hour. Every day you're in conversation with yourself. Ki bhai mere ko karne ka hai, bhai mere ko karne ka hai. You're motivating yourself as a coach. So suddenly when you see these foods that are not supposed to go into you, aap puche bhai, tu mere like ka nahi hai. मैं इतना मेहनत कर रहा हूं, आप मेरे शरीर के अंदर नहीं आ सकते. That is a diet plan. Because once you start working out, body is like, bhai, I will tell you that you need to eat these things. So if India can begin to start walking, yoga, workout, but not 2 days in a week, go consistently 5 days a week. I work out 7 days a week. Because I go 2 days off. Now I've come to Bombay, 3-4 days I'll be off. I'll be like, arey yaar, we'll wait for another 1 week. You lose the plot. So you got to keep your body under check. And exercise is the best check to control your taste bud. That automatically your brain says, bhai, I'll give you one thappot if you eat that.
Farsan, I think similar to chivada and bhujia.
Yeah, the moment you said farzan, I'm thinking Irani cutting chai. So I was like, wow, how do you battle stuff that tastes so good? Chewing gum. So I've had people who have an addiction to traditional foods, right? I had this one lady, jalebi. She said, I have jalebi craving every day. I can afford it. I have a jalebi chef also. So I was like, how do I battle jalebi, man? Like, you can't win with jalebi. There's no way.
Ryan, you have the toughest job, I tell you.
You'll be
Growing hair is easier than making people lose weight.
You can be Barack Obama's nutritionist. You can be Mr. Narendra Modi's nutritionist. You can't fight jalebi, boss. Just not possible. So then I was like, chewing gum. So like, huh? Chewing gum. I was like, madam, you put chewing gum and you start chewing it after lunch. 2 realizations. When we eat food, a little bit of the food remains in the side of your teeth. Suddenly ना 3 घंटे के बाद वो जो लंच का जो चूड़ा का पीस या जो राइस का पीस वो निकल जाता है, टेस्ट बड के ऊपर पहुंचता है. ए भाई उठो, जागो जागो, दूसरा मील लेके आ जाओ. You start chewing gum or brushing your teeth, you don't feel a craving. Have you seen people traditionally in India chew gudka? Why? So that they don't eat. A lot of drivers, truck drivers, shooting crews have to shoot 6, 7, 8 hours. They can't get up to eat. They chew some gudka or something like that. It's to suppress the hunger. I believe the mouth freshener cuts off the link between, oh, you're hungry and something into stomach. Plus, chewing is a methodology to send a signal back to your brain on satiety, feeling of fullness. One of the side effects of chewing gum is a little bit more burping because you're putting air into your system. But between air and jalebi, I think air is better.
Okay, on that note, pakoda or bhajia?
Now I'm feeling hungry, pakoda and bhajia. So here's the thing, okay? I like pakoda and I like bhajia. Recently, my housekeeping lady came to me and said she could make both in the air fryer. Which means from deep fry, I've gone to just, she's bought this paintbrush, a silicone paintbrush, and she puts a little bit of oil on top of that and puts it into the air fryer. So I think if you can do pakoda, bhajia on a rainy day, on once or twice a month, ठीक है भाई, कोई बात नहीं. लेकिन अगर हर दिन हेलो जोमेटो जी, जो भी ई-कॉमर्स ऐप है भाई, जोमेटो टेल मी कचौरी, बटाटा वाला समोसा, it's you're losing a battle. You just won't win. And by the way, pakora, sorry, what was it? Pakora and
Bhajia.
bhajia, homemade.
Hmm.
Why? बाहर का जो होता है
Quality of oil.
same oil. Dung, 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 dung. Now after 3 fries, it becomes engine oil. And then your piston ring goes after that. Gar ka tel, actually in my house once we had a fight because I came back home and there was this golden oil. I'm like, Mona, ये क्या है? Sir, ये तो हम लोग चिकन फ्राई किया तो रख दिया, कल यूज करेगा. Anytime you fry the oil, it becomes trans fat. And trans fat, especially for women, causes kujli in the ovaries to create polycystic ovarian disorder. All the teenage girls today are eating fried food. It is going and doing kujli in your ovaries. Once your ovaries get kujli, the hormonal disruption is there. Because of PCOD, you have insulin resistance. It started at 13, 14 with pakora and bhajjas, which she was eating in the school canteen. So girls, if you're listening in, please do not eat fried food no matter your craving. Get your craving checked from a nutritional deficiency point of view. Parents, it's your God-given responsibility to check this problem. And in addition to this, we're eating too much of sugar, which is again affecting the hormonal balance in women.
Makes sense. And that brings me to my last snack, which is एक आइसक्रीम या चॉकलेट कुछ तो खाने के बाद.
I love chocolate. In fact, researchers said that cacao bean, which is the original source of chocolate before you produce chocolate, releases stem cells or beauty cells. So I use it in athletes for recovery by giving them dark chocolate, very little sugar. And trust me, I've had 10 to 15-year-old swimmers. Initially, Uncle Ryan, bad taste. But today, if I meet those teenagers, they're like, we love dark chocolate, right? So I would go with chocolate, not the commercial one where when you take the label, each 100 grams of chocolate, there is 50 grams of sugar, but it is calling it dark chocolate. The sugar has to be under 20 grams per 100 grams. Let's do that. Okay. Now, once you have under 20 grams of sugar, your quality of chocolate has to be better, and that's really affecting you. What was the other one?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Ice cream is mostly air, so you could win the argument saying that, "Arey bhai, usme hawa hai, to kuch nahi hote." But ice cream is also 60 to 80% fat. Now, ice cream, thank God, is mostly consumed in the hot season. So, agar aap ice cream use kar rahe, I would say shift from fat-based ice cream, dairy-based ice creams, to fruit-based popsicles or gelato, jahan sugar nahi hota hai. So me and my kid, we make beautiful mango popsicle, mango kulfi, banana kulfi. That day he was like, "Papa, I am doing carrot and mango." I am like, in my head, I'm thinking, dude, that's not going to taste really nice. Parents, don't stop your children from experimenting into the kitchen. Let your child come into the kitchen. Because once they start coming into the kitchen, if they make something, he ate 4 popsicles that he made of mango and carrot. I tasted it and I went, now that's the adult brain. The kid brain says, I made this is healthy, carrot is good in vitamin A, mango is good in fiber, and blah, blah, blah. And he came up with his own logical nutritionist son conviction. So ice creams are good, reduce the sugar. This is one place when I tell people sugar-free, I would be thumbs up if it has sorbitol or maltitol as a sweetener. But don't eat ice cream every day. Once a week, you want to eat ice cream as a celebration. Yeah, it's okay. Portion control. Normally for motapa people, I say 1 scoop, 1 ice cream scoop. For leaner people, skinnier people, and you don't have cholesterol problem, then have 2 scoops. Everybody else in India, get in touch with Ryan Fernando. We will tell you whether you can eat ice cream manzoor hai, ya ice cream aapko thappad de rahe.
So Ryan, I have received some questions from people. We sort of shared that you are coming over and people wrote in. I'll start with the first one. Hello sir, can you help me with constipation? I have been experiencing this problem after undergoing surgery in 21. My doctor says it's due to the excess painkillers I have been taking. Can I eat multivitamins with a 100% RDA limit? Do I need to get a doctor's permission to use it?
Okay, so there are multiple things in this. One is we have understood that painkillers have attacked this person's gut. So the first thing is, if there's a medical condition, you take advice from your doctor for taking a multivitamin or any single vitamin. The reason behind that is that you do not know what damage the painkillers have done. Yes, nutrition helps. I would advise you to get it from your food. But if there's a blood chemistry deficiency of a certain vitamin, take a prescription from a medical doctor. The other part is to resolve your gut issues. Nutrition from a perspective of collagen, the colorful green leafy vegetables and fruits, maybe do the microbiome poop analysis test to reset your gut microbiome, which it is the microbiome or the bacteria in your gut which can reheal your system. So look beyond nutrition into the microbiome for a healing process.
Hello, sir. Can you tell us something about how to gain weight? I'm eating a healthy amount of food, but I'm still struggling to gain weight. Some of my friends say it's because I have a good metabolism. Should I be worried about this, or is it healthy?
So whoever this person is, I was in the same boat all my entire life. I'm a lean, skinny nutritionist and I eat really well. I lift really well. But some of us are born with genes that do not build muscle or do not store more fat. So the world judges us based on different stereotypes. The certain body type. Fat people are short, saying that, oh, you're fat and you're lazy. Skinny people is you don't know how to eat or you're not eating enough. I think you need to find the middle path. And what is the middle path? Number one, do you sleep well? Do you have a great life? Do you have a great thinking process? Do you have the ability to work out really well without your heart rate going really high? Is your potty good? Is your skin clear? Is your muscles good? Is your joint good? When all of this is good, the planet has people at different BMIs: skinny, intermediate, thoda mota, mota se zyada, mota se matlab very, very large people. So a weight gain plan should be based on enough of protein, enough of carbohydrates. Work with a good nutritionist and don't try and put on weight too fast because you'll gain fat. Work to put on weight with muscle. So weight train and then add the extra calories.
I'm a mother of two and I have problems trying to feed my children healthy food, especially when it comes to chocolates. They both crave it very much. How should I make them stop their sugar cravings and intake?
So all children are taught at a very younger age. So if the children are crossed beyond 11 or 12, very difficult to command them. So teach them how you can bring in chocolate, which is really good for children, but not the commercial chocolate that is available, which has got a large amount of sugar and dairy in it. What I do with my son is together we make a chocolate dry fruit laddu. We would do like a chocolate, hot chocolate or a chocolate shake. So my kid is allergic to milk. So what we have done is food allergy testing. So now we drink almond milk, coconut milk. So we make it that way. I think when our child sees any of these commercial chocolates, the important thing for the parent to do is to say that, okay, you want to eat this. Like my son was very in love with these eggs of chocolate. And every time we went to the shop, he says, Papa, I want one. So I made it in such a way that he had to do difficult tasks as a child to achieve that. I know we shouldn't reward our children with food. I always say this, but if you want to turn off the tap on your kids, give them uphill tasks. And if they fulfill the uphill task, then once you make the reward that not every day, once a week, they'll negotiate with you for once a week. Appreciate them for negotiating with you. It means you've got a very smart kid. But be the parental control to say that no, it's my God-given right till the age of 18 not to give you too many chocolates.
Hello, my name is Shivangi. I was never allergic to broccoli growing up, but since last year I seem to get rashes whenever I eat broccoli. How am I developing allergies to food as an adult?
So as we grow older and we subject our body to more and more sugar, more and more chemicals, the gut gets sensitive. So sometimes we need to pause and reset. And there's something known as a seasonality. For example, recently I do my food intolerance blood test every year. Recently, the new change in it was eggs in last year was high. So I stopped eating eggs. I do eggs only once a week and it came off the allergic list. And now celery juice came in because I was trying to bulk up. So I eat a lot of non-veg. My uric acid went up. Now I know celery juice helps in reducing uric acid. So I kept having celery, but my blood allergy came back allergy to celery. So we've got to look at seasonality. So broccoli eating all the time, maybe seasonality, the body saying, bhai, bas karo, zyada diya. So please pull back. So have a seasonality with food and use a food intolerance test to see if you're really, really allergic to something.
I'm 39 years old. I don't drink alcohol and I'm not obese. However, I have developed a grade 2 fatty liver. I'm wondering why this happened and if it can be reversed with a healthy diet. Can you please give me some advice?
Absolutely, fatty liver. I have personally reversed many cases. Fatty liver is not only caused by high sugar or high fat diet or alcohol. Fatty liver can even be caused by extreme stress, eating too much of food, or even pollution. I was recently at a Goa medical conference for doctors where I was delivering a lecture, and the doctor before me was taking a lecture on non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And one of the slides she puts up was pollution is another leading cause of fatty liver. I also know genetics plays an important role, so you could inherit it. What is fatty liver? Fat goes and sits on top of your liver. Can you reverse it? Yes. Start walking, get a nutritionist to work with you on a diet that will not put extra calories into your body. And by bringing down the calories and using certain nutritional molecules, herbs, you can actually have your liver clean up its own self.
Interesting. Hey Ryan, I have recently been diagnosed as a diabetic, and I keep hearing from various people about low glycemic index food helping control and reverse diabetes. But I have not been able to completely understand what low glycemic index food is. Can you help me understand?
The IPL is going on right now, and you have Bumrah and maybe you have another bowler. Bumrah doesn't get hit at all. So he's got a very low economic rate. So matlab, he bowls 6 deliveries, but you can get only 2 runs out of him. This is low glycemic index. And the other guy, I don't know who I should take, but he gets hit for 35 runs in 1 over. 35 runs are not possible. He gets hit for 24 runs in 1 over. That is high glycemic index. So when you take a food like white bread or white rice, 0 to 100 is the glycemic index scale. 100 being the highest amount of glucose being released. So if like it's a card player or a card dealer, white rice is releasing so much of glucose in the blood, full fast. And apple is like low glycemic index. So having foods that have a low sugar delivery into your blood is a way for diabetic control. Calorie dense foods which are high in glycemic index are a huge cause for diabetes. So begin to work with your nutritionist and eliminate these foods.
Hi Ryan, I have been following a vegan diet for the past year and have also stopped consuming ghee. However, lately I have been experiencing low bone strength and weakness. Should I consider giving up my vegan diet?
So some of the best vegan athletes in the world, I've worked with them, Virat Kohli being one many years ago. And when you get onto a vegan, which is a no animal type of diet, right? So there's no honey, there's no dairy. Please understand that you could develop nutritional deficiencies in vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is found only in non-veg food. Your gut might not be able to produce it, or your milk might not be fortified because you're taking out milk. Your vitamin D, which is the bone creation vitamin, is going low. So basically, people who go vegan do not need to give up the vegan life. They need to balance the protein in their diet well from these plant-based sources. They also need to do a vitamin and mineral blood test more often. How often? At least once every quarter, if not every 6 months, to determine mineral and vitamin levels. Now, if you are able to track that, you can nutritionally supplement to top up levels that are deficient, and therefore you don't need to give up your veganism.
Hello, due to the lockdown, I have gained a lot of weight. I regularly go to the gym to maintain my weight, but nothing seems to work. Some of my friends suggested fasting as a solution, but I'm confused due to the different types of fasting, such as time restricted eating, circadian rhythm fasting, and alternate day fasting. Can you please suggest which type of fasting is most effective for weight loss? Also, please advise on the fasting window that I should follow?
Fasting is amazing for the human body. There was a Japanese scientist who won the Nobel Prize for discovering a condition known as autophagy. Simple system. How is Mumbai kept clean? How is Bangalore kept clean? We have a municipality system which goes and cleans up all the gandagi, all our garbage, everything. In the human body, we have a cleanup system, a municipality system. Many a times we eat so much of junk food, so much of bad food, so much of stress, so much of gandagi that we put into us, our own municipality cannot take care of itself. So fasting is housekeeping for your human body. Diwali cleaning. Important to not do it once a year. What is the magic? The magic is a 30-hour fast that kills cancer cells, apparently, according to a leading fasting doctor.
30 hours.
30 hours is a sweet spot. But intermittent fasting is a great way to not eat for 12, 14, 16, 18 hours as you plan it. I have seen CGM devices in intermittent fasting have significant impact on people's sugar levels, blood chemistry, and even blood pressure. The important thing is, Saloni, for people to not do it self-help, but to be guided by their family doctor or their family dietitian. When you do it under guidance, you're looking at your weight, you're looking at your blood test, you're looking at your BP also. And so you're not going into extreme deficiency by fasting, but you're nutritiously fasting. Why do I say nutritionally? Because the food that you do end up eating, whether it's an 1 meal a day, intermittent fasting, skipping a whole day, water fast, whenever you put food in you, you're making sure it's scientifically constructed. So that's the important point.
Makes sense. That was the last question. There have been so many takeaways from this chat. I think what you brought out here is fundamental, something that everybody, whether it was a teenager or Dadaji listening to this podcast or Mama Papa listening, everybody is going to take away something from here. Thank you so much for doing this for us. Thank you so much for coming all the way here.
It was a pleasure to be with you today. I just had so much of fun today, and I hope India benefits from this podcast.
Thank you so much.